but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him.
Hey, what's going on, folks? I stumbled on this clip from a recent Trump-Hannity interview where Trump explained why he picked Christopher Wray as FBI director. He explains he was trying to please Democrats and he was just listening to Chris Christie.
You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before.
We'll react to that clip as well as a few others because I think it perfectly describes how I'm feeling about this next election.
But the reason Trump can't run on inflation is he's the one who pushed the CARES Act.
Then we're going to listen to a clip of Ron DeSantis answer a Thomas Massie question about what he would do with federal agencies.
Well, first, I think there's a lot that the executive branch can do, and all I will say when it comes to these agencies, we'll go into this a little bit more as the campaign goes on.
And we'll ask ourselves the question, could he actually get it done? Is it even possible? On that topic, do you think he'd do a better job than Trump or not? I'll give my opinion, and I'll try to read some good ones in the comment section without getting too wild. I said I'll try. Should be a fun show, folks. Dream Rare Podcast is back, and it starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. I hope my video quality is back. If not, I'm going to have to take a day or two off and figure it out. I have a 4K camera, but since I was gone, the back end kind of changed on me. So hopefully it looks good for you guys. Today, I want to play a few clips. Ron DeSantis obviously announced. I have a cool clip of that from Twitter. And I found this clip of Trump talking to Sean Hannity about his FBI director choice. And before I play that, I think I want to explain why I'm passionate about this stuff, because every day I kind of just do what I want to do as far as clips. I do what inspires me. And people have been asking me, why do you talk about Trump so much? Or why do you point that stuff out and not about DeSantis? To me, DeSantis and Trump, although there's pros and cons to both, it's like Coke versus Pepsi, but Trump is kind of pinning it as like it's gold versus swamp. And all these things that he's kind of tricking conservatives into saying about DeSantis, they're also things that Trump did. Either like it's like he's picking things that he did objectively terrible on and being like, he did it. And then everyone's like, he did it, but he never did it. And it's almost just like confusing. And I almost want to unravel it. That's why one of the many reasons that I want to say this, but as a voter who voted for Trump in 2020, it's clips like these. This is from this year, I guess, Sean Hannity, I just stumbled upon it. Clips like these where I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see what everyone else sees. Like, are people doing this because they really believe it, or they just feel like it's like a thing? They're trying to relive their glory days of 2016. This is the type of stuff that I just don't understand. I'm going to play these clips.
You happy with Chris Wray?
But just so you understand, I put Chris Wray in because I wanted to have somebody in there that everybody, including the other side, really wanted. It may not have been the right move. Let's see. Time will tell, okay? But I wanted to have somebody in the FBI because I'm an honorable guy. I'm an honest guy.
I'm an honorable guy. I'm an honest guy. So he explains the reason he picked Christopher Wray for FBI director is because Chris Christie told him to, and the Democrats liked him. And I guess that's just what we do here.
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now
and
Jim Jordan is investigating.
Come on, Patriots. The only way to fight the deep state is to listen to them, take their recommendations, make sure everybody on both sides of the swamp agree with my choice, and then I make the choice. But the choice, is it good? Is it not? I don't know. I can't get over this clip. It's hilarious to me. I got to watch it again. He sounds like a kid where he's like, I mean, Chris Christie recommended him to me. I mean, what? Come on, man. I mean, Chris Christie. I mean, what? He recommended.
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now Jim Jordan is investigating.
He like leans in. He's like, you know why I picked him, right? Chris Christie. He recommended him to me. Come on, Patriots. The only way to fight the deep state is to pick them for the position and make sure that the Democrats like them as well. I've come up with a new theory. Obviously, I can't prove this. I don't know if it's true, but I've come up with a new theory of why a lot of politicians hate Donald Trump. People such as myself for years and others have just thought like, oh, it's because he's so raw and he's crushing them behind closed doors. They hate him. But I think the reason they hate him is because like in the TV, he'll be like, Chris Christie is a rhino. He's fat. He's a swamper. He's a deep state. And then behind closed doors, he'll be like, Chris, what do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. And then Chris Christie will be like, why don't you hire Christopher Wray? And Trump will be like, okay, I'll hire Christopher Wray. I'll listen to Chris Christie. And then like he's like friends with Chris Christie. And then on television, he's like, Chris Christie sucks. He's a piece of garbage. And then Chris Christie's like, dude, what the hell? We just picked the FBI director together. And Trump's like, yeah, I know, but my base thinks I'm like somebody I'm not. So I got to just keep pretending that I'm fighting you for the cameras. And I mean, tell me you don't see this clip. I'm going to play it one more time for comedic purposes, then I'm going to move on. How am I supposed to act like this is the golden ticket versus the swamp? It's the outsider who just picked the most important position by agreeing with Democrats and Chris Christie, but he's a total victim of that choice, and maybe it's the wrong decision. He can't even be like, yeah, that's the wrong decision. He's like, I don't know, maybe it's not. I mean, I listen to Chris Christie. What am I supposed to do? I mean, Chris Christie told me what to do, and the Democrats liked him. I mean, that's the outsider. That's how we're going to like switch up the intel communities. If it's all fake, let's just admit it's fake. And then we could pick like a fake person. You could pick Trump and some people could pick DeSantis and we could argue over who's going to do less. But like, let's stop acting like one of the candidates is like the golden calf. It's like, guys, he's listening to Chris Christie and Democrats to choose the FBI director and won't even fully admit it's a mistake because he doesn't care. He's not who everyone thinks he is. That's why I'm inspired to make these videos, because everyone now, the right wing is as brainwashed as like a drag queen story hour. They're like, look at the left, they're mentally ill, and it's like, yeah, they're insane. And then it's like, but we're also it's like, okay, I'm over this. I need to get a new career. All right, let's look.
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now
and
Jim Jordan is investigating.
I'm telling people, I'm going to save you a couple of years. It's Tom and Jerry. The show never ends because there is no show without the little like fake fight. It's like, he's a rhino. I just take advice from him. The left sucks, but I want to please them. But they call me nasty names, but one day they'll it's like, dude, they're not going to like you, whether you choose Christopher Wray or someone. I don't think, and this is where I differ from Republicans. This is not pessimism. I don't think these people are actually fighting. If you want me to lie like other influencers and eat steaks at Mar-a-Lago and sell your country out and, you know, just kind of like put on a little Tom and Jerry show, I'll consider it. I don't think I have it in me. I have a soul and I have a spine and a brain, so it's not going to happen. But, you know, maybe I'll try to like get into a different profession or something. Cause I don't know. It's like, am I trying to sell a steak at a vegan festival here? Do people care? Do they just want to be fooled? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to play this clip of a few other clips, and then I'm going to get to the DeSantis one that I want to play. But I saw Thomas Massey went on Laura Ingraham, and he talked about something that I've been mentioning a while, so I want to play it.
But the reason Trump can't run on inflation is he's the one who pushed the CARES
Before
Act.
we get to Trump, hold on, Congressman. Before we get to Trump,
well,
I asked a question.
Whoa. This is Fox News here, and we can't actually tell people the truth about what we did, or else then they're going to break out of the left-right paradigm, and then they might actually solve something. Whoa. Hey, Thomas, come on, dude. Chill out, dude.
But the reason Trump can't run on inflation is he's the one who pushed the CARES Act.
Before we get to Trump, hold on, Congressman.
What Thomas Massey just said is a key that unlocks a lot of confusion. Biden sucks. Democrats suck. Democrats print too much money. But Trump signed the CARES Act. So he's like, how is he going to run against inflation when he helped cause inflation? I had a 2-hour debate against some guy with satanic symbols in his name, and he's like a professional Trump bootlegger. And he's like, no, when Democrats print trillions of dollars, it's really bad. But when Republicans do it, it's just not as bad. It doesn't do anything because it's like, this is like the average mindset right now. But, he goes on and says a little more. I want to watch it before we watch a few other things.
And Trump was urging governors to shut their economies down. And I was in Congress, and I got screamed at by President Trump. By the way, if he wins the nomination, I'll vote for him enthusiastically. But he was for the $2 trillion CARES Act. And one of the reasons we had a lackluster performance in the midterms is because we couldn't run against inflation, because most of my colleagues were urged by Trump.
I mean, that's the truth that no one wants to hear. I don't know. Does my audience want to hear it? All right, I'm going to move on. I got another light in my face. I'm trying to make the quality better. So I got this light like shining right in my face. I got to figure out a different place to put it. But I want to play this before we play the DeSantis clip, which is Trump put out a statement about DeSantis parroting COVID data that Democrats spew to lock stuff down and lie to people. And he's not even talking about PCR test or the fudge data or how they counted or per capita of state, how many people are in the state, the average age. There's 7 different ways to lie with statistics, but apparently this is the movement now. I mean, if everybody just lies in unison, I guess we're just going to parrot 2020 Democrat COVID talking points because that's how we're going to beat DeSantis. And this is, I don't get it. I know all my influencer colleagues are not this fake and stupid, or maybe they are this fake. They're not this stupid though. Maybe they are this stupid, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But like, who watches this clip and is like, yeah, that's what we want. Here it is. Hold on.
When the Ron DeSanctimonious facts come out, you will see that he's better than most Democrat governors, but very average at best compared to Republican governors who have done a fantastic job. How about the fact that he had the 3rd most deaths of any state having to do with the China virus or COVID?
All right, I'm going to play the rest of the clip in a second, but he said he had the 3rd most deaths when it had to do with the China virus. So this is the propaganda and the fudging of the data that the Democrats use to enslave us, beat us down. This is why the Republicans are controlled opposition. So, okay, 3rd most deaths. What do you mean by that? Per capita? Probably not, because how many people are in Florida compared to other states? He goes on to say he did worse than Cuomo. According to what? Are you going to talk about the PCR test, Trump? Are you going to talk about how they were counting? You could talk about how many elderly people were in this state or that state. But I think the main talking point is how they were counting cases with a PCR test or sometimes without a PCR test. And the entire scam was based around the fudging of the data, counting cases and deaths. That's how they did everything. The reason Trump lies about it just like Democrats and talks about it without providing any context is because he's in on it. He's the king of the vaccine. He's the socialist scammer who did Operation Warp Speed. He was the king of the ventilators. It turns out a lot of reports are coming out that that's what actually killed all the people. But Trump doesn't care. He's the king of the ventilators, just like he's the king of the vaccine, just like he's the king of socialism, just like in 2020, he was the quarterback of 15 days to slow the spread that lasted over a month, which I'm going to play another clip in a second to prove that a month and a half after it, he's still touting lockdowns. But I guess Republicans just don't care. I guess we don't care. I guess we're not capitalists anymore. I guess we have no values. I guess we just want to show. Somebody commented in my thing and they're like, I said it's Coke versus Pepsi. And they're like, yeah, but Trump's more personable. Yeah, he's hilarious. He's very funny. He's like a court jester. Yeah, DeSantis is like boring and strategic, but actually does stuff. And Trump just like goofs around and makes people laugh. I guess that's funny, but it's not that funny to end in a lockdown to me. But anyway, I'm going to play the full clip and then we'll move on.
When the Ron DeSanctimonious facts come out, you will see that he's better than most Democrat governors, but very average at best compared to Republican governors who have done a fantastic job. How about the fact that he had the 3rd most deaths of any state having to do with the China virus or COVID? Even Cuomo did better. He was number 4. He shut down everything, including the beaches, Other Republican governors didn't do that. They kept it open. It was their choice. I gave them all their choice. The Democrats blew it big. A lot of Republican governors did a fantastic job. And look at Disney and what a mess it is. Could have worked out an easy settlement, but no, he wanted to show the fake news how tough a guy he is. He's not. And the whole Disney thing is really very unfortunate. Now thousands and thousands of jobs are being stopped, and a lot of people are very upset about it.
Trump has absolutely no morals. It's like if we boycott Target, oh, it's bad to boycott. Okay, I mean, who cares? We should have just settled the deal so they could turn our boys into girls. It's okay as long as there's an economy. We know, dude, you're all about the money. And when it comes to how gung-ho you were about opening the country,
Told the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, that I disagree strongly with his decision to open certain facilities which are in violation of the Phase 1 guidelines for the incredible people of Georgia. They're incredible people. I love those people. They're great.
they're great. I mean, you shouldn't open, should stay locked down. So then 3 years later, I'll be like, what? I mean, Ron, why did you do what I did, Ron? You did what I did. You did what I did, Ron. You did what I did. Now here's some Democrat COVID data talking points with no explanation because I'm a pathological liar and people just love it. People eat it up on Facebook. People are like, Anomaly has no idea what he's talking about. It's like, dude, the right is just as brainwashed as the left, in my opinion. And this is probably not good for my business. And it's true, but it's not good for my business. I don't care. I might just purposely sabotage my own business so I can find a new profession. I mean, I don't really want to, but at this point, I can't just sell meat to people who aren't vegan. But anyway, I was like looking at this stuff and people were like, Trump's probably going to win. And I'm like, Trump probably will win because America is obese and addicted to pharmaceuticals. And it's just true. It's like America loves pills. They love eating and they love just like watching 80-year-old vaccine salesmen, scam artists, socialists yell at each other, even though they've already proven who they are, what they've done. They don't care at all. It's like we're going to fight the deep state by choosing the guy that Chris Christie told him to choose. This is how you're going to fight the deep state, guys, with this guy?
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Chris to.
I mean, that's the only way to fight the deep state, guys, is to choose the guy that Chris Christie told him to choose because Democrats also liked him. I mean, that'll really. I mean, do we have to do this for the next 2 years, 5 years, 6 years? Yeah, we're gonna do this. I'm over it. I'm also a little under the weather. I apologize. That's why my energy's a little low, a little Jeb Bush today. Not literally, but low energy Jeb. But in general, it's just crazy that people don't get it. I don't know. I'm gonna read a few comments, then I'm gonna play the DeSantis clip. Someone said Trump talks like a construction worker and working people like him for it. Yeah, but it's like if people don't care about results, then what's the point? Like I could sit here and talk to you like, a construction worker, but if you run around the country printing trillions of dollars like Karl Marx on steroids, hawking vaccines and hiring people that Chris Christie told them to, do you just want like entertainment or something? Do people have no hobbies? You don't like Netflix or sports or you don't watch WWE? Like you need to fulfill your Comic-Con fantasies through Donald Trump? I don't understand it. It's like people always point to other things too. It's like, look how nobody shows up to it. It's like, yeah, because people aren't obsessed over idol worship like you. Yeah, it's good to have events. I've been to them, but it's like people think that's like owning the left. They're like, oh, they're doing other things while we're showing up to listen to a guy who just regurgitates grandpa stories for the last 5 years. They've been the same stories. He's like, I did the vaccine. Please don't boo. Please stop. I'm a vaccine socialist. I did it. I'm in on it. But come on now. I'm going to tell a joke now. And people are like, ha, ha, ha. He talks like me. Yeah. I mean, it's like people can't find their thrill somewhere else. They got to just sabotage the whole country for 4 or 5 more years. Whatever. Here's a clip of DeSantis answering a Thomas Massey question. I thought it was interesting. And then I'll have something else unpopular to say after it that's honest and true. That'll age well, but I know people don't like that. he did a Twitter Spaces yesterday, officially ran for president, and Thomas Massey asked him what he would do about the federal agencies. And I don't fully trust DeSantis. I think it's like Coke and Pepsi. Some things will never change, but I do think that unless this changes, I think he's a little more pragmatic, and he actually tries to like figure out how to do stuff. And I think Trump just like lies to people. He'll be like, "I hate Chris Christie. He's a rhino," and then like behind closed doors, he'll be like, "Okay, Chris, now that my base hates you, like, can you tell me what to do? Because I don't actually know who to hire. Just tell me who to hire." And they're like, Chris Christie's like, "Well, hire Christopher Wray. I mean, the Democrats like him. I like him. Mitt Romney likes him. We all like him." And Trump's like, "Okay, I mean, I don't know. How am I going to spin this one to my base?" They're like, "I don't know. Just go out on stage and tell like, basic jokes and stuff, and they'll forgive you." And he's like, "Okay, I guess you're right." And then he's like, "Hey guys, I trust the plan." It's like the plan of listening to Chris Christie. He's like, "I mean, I don't know. All my base has like Q shirts on. I don't know what it means, but they really like me. So I'll just get Brad Scavino to like post pictures of my plane, and they'll make theories about it." It's like, cool. We haven't heard this one before. Here's the clip of DeSantis and Massey.
And why is it that Congress is so feckless at reining in these government agencies? And what do you think we need to do? And if you were president, what would you urge Congress, or what bills would you like to see and sign to rein in this, sort of overreach of government bureaucracy?
Well, first, I think there's a lot that the executive branch can do, and all I will say when it comes to these agencies, we'll go into this a little bit more as the campaign goes on. But buckle up when I get in there, because the status quo is not acceptable, and we are going to make sure that we reconstitutionalize this government. And these agencies are totally out of control. There's no accountability, and we are going to bring that in a very big way. Now, part of the reason it's gotten so bad, power has been consolidated in effectively a fourth branch of government, because Congress hasn't used its two main powers that it has under the Constitution. First, the power of the purse. If an agency is engaging in conduct that is outside the realm of what is legal, or you think it's not good for the public interest, then you can remove the funding for those operations. There's nothing that they're not entitled to get the same level of funding every year, and yet Congress runs the government on autopilot, either continuing resolutions or massive omnibus spending bills. So these agencies are all bulletproof. They know that they're going to end up getting something similar or more every single year, and it creates an incentive for them to abuse their power. The other thing you can do is actually legislate, so you're not delegating to the bureaucracy key issues regarding how to enforce federal law. You should define what you want. All they should be doing is implementing. Instead, Congress will basically give an invitation for the bureaucracy to make really important substantive decisions. And so Congress may never vote on something, and the bureaucracy will cite a law from 20 years ago and do things that are going to transform our society or our country. That is not the way the founding fathers drew up the Constitution.
So would you sign the REINS Act? We passed it out of Judiciary today.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That would, I think, be a great check.
So obviously, DeSantis is not as charismatic or interesting or funny as Donald Trump. I think that's pretty obvious. And someone said I'm coked up. I'm not coked up. I'm actually under the weather. So I could have just not done a show. Maybe I shouldn't have. But yeah, I don't feel 100% today. So I don't do cocaine. But thanks for your concern. Cocaine Bear in theaters now. No, but anyway. I always take it back to watching a DeSantis and Trump speech back to back. When I listen to DeSantis speak at TPUSA with no expectations, and keep in mind, I'm not obsessed with the guy. I don't think he's like reinventing the wheel or anything. I think it is, the lesser of two evils to most extent. But in general, when I listened to DeSantis speak, I was actually impressed, and I'm not easily impressed, but I was like, all right, this guy, he actually thinks about how to do something, and that's everything he said. Like everything he was talking about at TPUSA, he was like, so we had to figure out exactly how to do that. Like with the federal agencies, he's not just like, I'm gonna drain the swamp, people, and people are like, F you. It's like, that's a good slogan, but how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna do it? Trump doesn't know. That's why he defers to people like Chris Christie. Trump has no idea. If he did, he wouldn't have to ask Chris Christie who to hire for the FBI. but his base loves it. I don't understand it. He's literally in 2023 telling people, I asked Chris Christie who to hire for the FBI, and I feel like it was a good idea because like Democrats liked him too. And that's how I chose. And people are like, yeah, he's going to really drain the swamp that way. He's not going to drain the swamp that way. You need to be strategic with it. And DeSantis has figured out every way to actually do it. But people don't want that. They don't want a guy who does it. So when I listen to, and I don't know that he'd actually do it, but if I were a betting person, I'd rather roll the dice on DeSantis than Trump again after what he already did. He had 4 years. People say, well, DeSantis is only a governor. This is different. It's like Trump was in the White House, so he had a bigger pen. I wasn't impressed. But anyway, when I listen to Trump speak at TPUSA, he's funny, he's charismatic, he's likable, he lights up the room, but he's just like a showman. He'll tell a story about a plane landing for 20 minutes, and he'll tell the same story he told 15 times. It's the same story. He's like, oh man, the guy driving the plane looks like Tom Cruise. He's so good looking. And then the plane goes down, lower. And like 10 minutes later, I'm like, wait, he's funny, but it's like, where's the story going? He's not actually like systemically being like, okay, this is how I'm going to get stuff done. Here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to hire. He doesn't know. And he surrounds himself by idiots, bozos, opportunists, losers, and snakes. And now he has a new set of losers, bozos, opportunists, and snakes around him. Thomas Massey is better than anybody Trump has around him. And Steve Cortez was the only person I liked around Trump who's now backing DeSantis. I'm not saying DeSantis is a hero. I still think it's Coke versus Pepsi. But the whole reason I'm making this video, I mean, I don't know who actually cares, but to paint this election as like Trump, the golden calf, who's going to do everything that he didn't do, even though he's telling you he doesn't do it, versus like the swamp guy who does everything that Trump did. That's not the truth. The truth is it's Coke versus Pepsi. And in my opinion, there's pros and cons. The pro is Trump possibly has better foreign policy. The con is, I don't know, his mouth, the way he just stirs everything up but doesn't actually do anything. The con of DeSantis is he has a lot of the same donors that Trump used to have. I don't know. They all swarm him and do the same stuff eventually. I'm not acting like he's going to come in and save the world, but this brainwashing cyclone that Trump has people in where he's like, I'm the hero and everybody else bad. That's not true. Trump is lying, just like he lied about the vaccine, just like he's lying about COVID data without explaining it. He's just like a Pied Piper at this point. Will anything change? I mean, who knows? Will Trump be a bull in a china shop and just go crazy? Maybe. I mean, anything's possible, but in general, I just don't think America deserves anything more than Trump versus Biden again. I don't think America wants it. So, it's like if you're a fitness coach and you show up to like a house where everybody's eating Cheetos and they're all 800 pounds and you're like, hey, who wants to hit the gym? And everyone's like, shut up, get out of here, go away. I'm happy. And it's like, at a certain point, I think if you actually have a head on your shoulders and you're not completely brainwashed by the left-wing or right-wing influencer sphere, which are almost equally as bad at this point, most right-wing influencers, either they're just riding the cash cow that they have, or they've gotten so intellectually lazy, just, doing nothing and having no intelligent debates in the last couple of years besides dunking on the left. It's like, there's someone in it's like, I don't know. I think at a certain point, if you actually have a head on your shoulders and you could see through the deception of Trump, of the left and the right, and you have a preference between Trump and DeSantis, but you're not so brainwashed by Trump's words that you think he's like so amazing and DeSantis is so bad. If you're that type of person, we might just have to eat it and watch people just bash their heads against the walls for 3 years and then never learn a lesson. I don't know. I feel like, I guess the nicest thing I could say is I think that the COVID lockdowns and all that stuff like psychologically damaged a lot of people, possibly even including me. I mean, I'm fine, but I just feel under the weather today. But, it is a very traumatic experience to be locked in your house. And I think the left went crazy because they just fed into politics so much. So they're like, if 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 Trump wants this, I want this. So we got to lock down and wear masks. And you know what I'm saying? I hate I think the left drove themselves insane after the lockdown, playing politics. And also, I think they've psychologically abused like billions of kids. I think the younger generation's probably a mess now. They already had a lack of social skills, and now they have the masking and like the lack of facial expressions. And then, it's not just the left and the kids. I think the right has been psychologically brainwashed by the lockdowns too, because once Trump showed who he really was, people just aren't ready to admit it. So they're trying to, ride the wagon of who Trump used to pretend to be, and they just don't want to tell the truth about it. I even see a lot of right-wing influencers that consider themselves nationalists or further right that are like, always talking about Israel. And even people like, they're coming at me now like, oh, if you like DeSantis, you like Israel. That's what Ryan Dawson said to me. And God bless the guy. I don't know much about him. He follows me. I follow him. I've heard people say nice things about him, but it's like, you're going to say that I'm like obsessed with Israel because I'm telling the truth about DeSantis versus Trump. Are you going to, are you now pretending that like Trump isn't one of the most pro-Israel presidents ever? Like you can name the list of accomplishments that Trump did for Israel. One of the last things he did was pardon Jonathan Pollard, an Israeli spy, to go back to Israel. But for some reason, that branch of the right wing that like, always talks about Israel, they're like, oh, I mean, DeSantis is Israel, but Trump is our guy. It's like Trump's not he's the same as DeSantis in that category. They're almost identical with that situation. And so is Joe Biden. Joe Biden just passed another he said he's fighting anti-Semitism in 100 ways. What does that mean? I mean, I hope you could clean up San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, because if you really want to stop violence and that type of anti-Semitism, clean up these crappy cities where people of all races are getting attacked because these cities are disgusting. With that being said, I don't believe, and I've gotten smeared more in the last 3 weeks than I ever have in my life by Jewish organizations, but whatever, still, I feel like they almost want me to hate them so they have something to talk about, but I still don't. God bless you guys, even though you lie about me. In general, it's like, I don't think that legislating hate and passing these speech laws that basically make it harder to criticize Israel, I don't think those are going to make people stop hating. Like, I don't think that's how you stop violence or hate, by infringing on the First Amendment or not infringing on the First Amendment and trying to jam it down people's throats. I don't think it works that way. But the point that I'm getting is Biden passed stuff like that. Trump passes stuff like that. And DeSantis passes stuff like that. They all pass stuff like that. They all do it. So I'm just being honest about it. Trump will do it. DeSantis will do it. Joe Biden will do it. I'm not being hateful for the hundreds of organizations that are crying about me now. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Anomaly so hateful. I'm not. I don't even hate Israel. People act like I'm a Palestinian activist out there throwing, shoes over the wall or something. It's like, dude, I've never even taken a stance on that war, not because I'm a fence sitter, literally or metaphorically, just because it's not my fight. It's like, you don't hear me talk about the Yemen war that much. It's like, I got enough stuff to worry about in my country. I'm not going to plant my flag out there and go fight with a foreign, I don't know. God bless both sides of that war, but they're acting like I'm such a bad guy because I'm telling people the truth about the speech laws that Biden, Trump, DeSantis, they're all passing. But what I'm saying is these further right influencers that are super critical of Israel, they're trying to act like Trump isn't that Israel guy. Trump is that Israel. Like, why is everyone lying? Why is the further right lying? Why is the right lying? Why is the conservative base lying? Why is everyone lying about it? I don't understand. It's like Coke versus Pepsi. It's not golden calf versus piece of garbage. And in the ways that DeSantis is worse than Trump, there's 30 ways that he's better than Trump. The biggest gaping thing that I could see is that DeSantis hired an outsider on the front lines of Washington to be his Surgeon General. I can't think of anybody that Trump hired like that at a position. He picked a few good advisors and then didn't listen to them. What's the point of being an advisor if Trump will listen to Chris Christie over the people near him? So it's like, why is everyone lying? I'm not sitting here telling you DeSantis is the most amazing person ever and Trump is nothing. It's like, no, it's Coke versus Pepsi. But I think that DeSantis at this point is Coca-Cola, not cocaine, for those who accuse me of that because I'm under the weather today. And Trump is Pepsi. I think Trump sold himself as if he was like the golden elixir, and I think he's not. I just don't. And I think that he's less electable, regardless of what the polls say. I think that he's more annoying. I think that he throws his hands up and talks about things all the time and makes a scene about it, but that doesn't actually do it. And I think DeSantis either does or doesn't do something. He doesn't make scenes all the time. I don't find that as a bad thing. When you talk to DeSantis about what would you do about the intelligence communities, he has an actual answer that makes sense. I'm not saying you have to trust him. I'm not saying he's not going to flop like a fish. But if I'm a betting person or I'm a voting person, the guy who tells me strategically, here's how you pull the funding from him, this is something you'll never hear Trump say because he doesn't care. They fund all their enemies, and then their enemies beat you down, and then you act like it was just, it's Stockholm Syndrome. The same way the left has Stockholm Syndrome, the right has Stockholm Syndrome. You're in love with the slave master. You're in love with the person who's fueling the enemy. Every omnibus bill Trump signed, every CARES Act he signed, read the bill, even Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was even against the omnibus bill because it was funding all these left-wing things. How are you going to fight the left when you're funding the left? During 2020, the biggest deception is that everyone should talk about November for the next 10 years. That's the Trump Pied Piper brainwash. Let's just talk about the election for the next 10 years, patriots, so we never take accountability for everything. That's the Pied Piper narrative. The true narrative is you should be talking about March to December 2020 because the country was lost in March. It doesn't matter if you vote for Trump or Hillary if Trump ends in a lockdown. You might get a Supreme Court judge, which is important, and a few federal judges. But for the most part, your vote doesn't matter if Big Pharma is going to swallow up your country either way. And Donald Trump, the freedom fighter who used to talk about vaccine injuries in 2014 and meet with Robert Kennedy in 2015, is now a raging salesman for Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson after he just did a socialist scheme for them, funding $18 billion to Big Pharma after he printed trillions of dollars and gave a bunch of money to Democrat states. So when I hear someone like DeSantis say, you got to cut the funding, that's the truth. That's what you can actually do. I know people don't want to hear that, though. And I'm not saying that DeSantis is necessarily going to do it. But who do I want to vote for at this moment? This is not an endorsement. I don't want to put if I feel inspired enough and I love one of the candidates enough, like when it was Trump versus, Hillary, or Trump. What was the last one? Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with all the little fake shows or whatever, but Trump versus Biden, I don't know if I endorsed Trump. I voted for him. I told everyone to vote for him. So I guess I did endorse Donald Trump. Like if it's Thomas Massey versus a Democrat, I'm going to endorse it. It's like, I don't like to be like, I endorse this candidate. It's like, yeah, get over yourself. But, I pushed Trump versus Biden because I knew that if Trump got in, there'd be a few things that were more important. But when it comes to Trump versus DeSantis, I'm not endorsing anyone. It's just if the election were tomorrow, I would vote for DeSantis. And, a lot of people are like afraid now because the conservative influencer class that has been swallowed up by Mar-a-Lago, they just want to act like it makes so much sense to vote for Donald Trump. It really doesn't. DeSantis gave a strategic answer with how exactly he would defund and how he could fight back against the deep state. And here's Trump. Here's what Trump said this year. I don't understand it. I'm sorry.
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now
and
Jim Jordan is investigating.
He thinks it's honorable to listen to Chris Christie and the Democrats. Guys, I'm fine with saying the deep state's too powerful. It's all fake. No one can do anything. I'm fine with that. It's not going to change my day-to-day life. Are we going to, because then people will be like, he can't do anything. Well, if he can't do anything, then who cares about the election? If he can't do anything, let someone else who can't do anything in, and let's see if their can't do anything is better than his can't do anything. You get what I'm saying? This is now years later, and he can't even look in the camera and be like, you know what? Maybe I should have hired someone else because now the FBI is persecuting my supporters. Maybe I should have hired somebody else. He can't even say that. So he's not a victim, in my opinion. If he could look in the camera and be like, listen, I should have hired somebody else. But he's like, I did the honorable thing. I mean, I hired someone that the Democrats liked. I hired someone that Chris Christie liked. That's the honorable thing to do. It is? Is that the honorable thing to do? Does Merrick Garland like Republicans? Maybe. Probably not, though. Is that what Democrats are doing? Are they hiring people that just like everybody? I mean, obviously, I know at the FBI, you're supposed to have somebody nonpartisan, but then let's get somebody nonpartisan. It doesn't feel like they're nonpartisan. I'm not asking you to put a Republican freaking shill in. Just get somebody that doesn't hate everybody that voted for you. You can't do that. You can't hire somebody that does that. And you can't even admit that you did it. You're like, I mean, we'll see if it's the wrong decision. I mean, I listened to Chris Christie and the Democrats. Like, what was I supposed to do? I don't know, dude. Maybe do what you said you were supposed to do. No, that's not what you're going to do. You're just going to hire who Chris Christie and the Democrats want and just keep brainwashing your base with fake Democrat COVID talking points about Ron DeSantis because you did a terrible job and you sold the vaccine harder than Bill Gates, but your supporters eat it up. I don't know. I'm just going to write it off as like people want to get scammed. People want to get lied to. And this country doesn't, deserve better. The positive news on that note is that, I feel like a lot of the fear mongering around the petrodollar is just not adding up. You hear all these people saying, oh my gosh, we're all going to die, buy my survival food. And, everybody has the right to make a sale. I might sell something eventually, but that I actually believe in. But in general, when you hear all this fear mongering about the dollar collapsing, go look at the dollar yourself. The dollar versus the Chinese, whatever it's called, yen or yuan, is doing well. America's crushing India, crushing the economy of Japan, doing better against Russia. America, the dollar's doing fantastically against all the currencies. Could that change? Sure. Anything is subject to change. It will change. But, I feel like that's one thing that America seems to do, whether it's war or oil. I'm not quite sure how they're propping it up, probably a mixture of both. I don't think our economy is going to completely collapse anytime soon. I'm not buying into that fear porn of we're all, what happened to me was and this was not just Joe Biden, by the way, it was the Trump administration and then the Biden administration and the Democrats and the Republicans. They shut down business for too long and they printed too much money. That's the big secret. I don't even like to get frustrated, but it's been such a frustrating couple of years because it's so obvious, but people are so brainwashed by partisan politics that they can't figure. No, I mean, I was told that Biden did it. Yeah, you were told that by the Republicans who did it. The Republicans who did it told you that it was just Biden. They lied to you. Biden is not helping, but that's what liars do when they want you to look back to them. The truth is, from March 20 or whenever, March 15th or 16th till May, both parties had almost the whole country shut down. Here's what happened I believe this was late April. Guys, this was late April or early May. I remember it because I was watching. This was a month or a month and a half after the initial lockdown. Georgia was trying to open up a few businesses, tattoos, parlor shops, spas. They were trying to open up everything or most stuff. And here's what Trump said a month or a month and a half after lockdowns. This was not early. This was a month after I'd figured it out. I'm screaming at my television every day. I'm on Twitter being like, Trump, wake up. Trump, stop pushing communist propaganda. Trump, stop saying Sweden should have locked down. And you have all these Trump influencers like, yeah, Sweden should stay locked down. Yeah, freedom's dangerous. Yeah. And I'm like, are these people for real? These are your other favorite influencers. In April, when all the data was coming in, I'm like, guys, they're lying about Sweden. I'm glad Sweden's open. And people are like, yeah, Trump's crushing Sweden. They should be communists. I'm like, now we're more socialist than Sweden? And MAGA wants to make socialists more Sweden?
Told the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, that I disagree strongly with his decision to open certain facilities which are in violation of the Phase 1 guidelines for the incredible people of Georgia. They're incredible people. I love those people. They're great.
And the reason I played that was just to kind of bring all my stuff full circle. The petrodollar's doing fine against other currencies, and it'll probably be fine because America's powerful and controls a lot of stuff, even though they're doing sneaky wars and stuff. With that being said, the reason your dollar's not going as far, there's actually two reasons. And I've talked to a few people in other countries as well. One is they printed too much money. Not Joe Biden, Donald Trump and Democrats and Republicans. They all did. Trump is in on it. He's not going to save you from the problem he started. Did he trick you? I'm sorry. No one else will tell you because they're all idiots or liars. I'm sorry. And then they shut business down for too long. Not just Democrats, but Republicans. And if you shut down your business for 2 months and a Democrat shut down their business for 4 months, you're responsible. It's called the slippery slope. Republicans haven't figured it out yet. It's like, what do you need? You need every teacher to be a drag queen story hour and to, oh, well, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but Caitlyn Jenner on Fox News really, it's like, people don't get it yet. The slippery slope. No, you bear. No wonder people like Donald Trump, because he takes no accountability. That's like most Americans. And I'm not trying to be a dick, because I have my own issues too. I got to work out. I'm not a perfect person. Or in the words of Hoobastank, I'm not a perfect, you get it. But America is a obese country that is addicted to pharmaceuticals. And the reason that is because people don't want to take self-accountability. So they like Donald Trump because he's a leader who just sells them the magic pill that they want to hear, even though it's not true. And they don't have to take accountability. And Rachel Maddow's that to the left. So we have one nation under pharma, individual, with Biden and Trump again for all. That's what we're going to get. And it's not going to change. But the only way to fix it on a political scale would be for people to wake up to the slippery slope. But you have more people that will make excuses for the tyranny. They'll be like, well, Republicans only locked down for 2 months and Democrats locked down for 5 months. It's like, yeah, but if you're an honest person, you have to take accountability and be like, yes, Democrats are worse, but if the president of the United States is fine with lockdowns for a month and a half and he's on Twitter taking account, he's saying, I did it. Like, there's literally tweets of him being like, it's not the states, it's me. He might have been lying, but he was taking credit for the lockdown. You have to look at yourself at halftime in the locker room and be like, yo, yes, the left locked down for a year, but we locked down for 3 months. So we set the precedent that they took. You know, when it comes to the election, all the things that scammed Republicans were in on. They just don't want to tell you because they want to win again, which is fine. I'll vote for these losers, but they're losers. But you think they're winners. It's like, no, we just got cheated. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Republicans are the victim of 2020. I mean, they only printed the money, gave it to Big Pharma, gave it to the Democrats, justified the lockdowns. But yeah, you're the victim, guys. Who's gonna take on? Oh, you know, next time Donald Trump gets in, he's really gonna fight the deep state like this. This is how he's gonna fight him, by choosing Chris Christie and Democrats' choice and saying that that's not, he's not even willing to be like, yeah, I'll do it differently next time. He's like, what? Come on, I mean, Chris Christie, come on. I mean, it's like on television, don't you call him a rhino? It's like, well, yeah, I gotta lie to my base. I can't tell them I'm friends with all these people. I gotta just tell them that only DeSantis is friends with these people, and they'll actually believe it. People are like, anomaly, Jeb Bush and Karl Rove, and it's like, do I need to get out the list of people who like Donald Trump, like Lindsey Graham? Bill Kristol even complimented him yesterday. He called, I think, DeSantis beta and Trump alpha. There's a laundry list of terrible people that like Donald Trump, and there's a laundry list of terrible people that like Ron DeSantis. But you can't act like yours is the golden calf versus the swamp. That's the theme of this entire podcast. I'm willing to call it what it is. Bad hombres over there, bad hombres over there. Donors over there, donors over there. Losers and snakes over there, losers and snakes over there. Some cool people over there, some cool people over there. I'm willing to call it like it is, but only in Donald Trump's little false reality that he's brainwashing Republicans in. It's like, no, only DeSantis hangs out with Jeb Bush and Paul Ryan. It's like, dude, you have a tweet after Paul Ryan stepped down that he did a great job and that we're all with you, Paul. You're with Paul Ryan. You're with Chris Christie. You're with Lindsey Graham. Bill Kristol's nicer to you than he is to DeSantis. Gavin Newsom likes you more than he likes DeSantis. All I'm saying is let's just pretend it's obviously even. You can't be like, oh, no, only bad people like DeSantis and everyone good likes Trump. There's no rhinos around him. What are you talking about? All he does is listen to rhinos. He's going to again. He's not even regretful of it. It's like he's putting on a show. He's a rhino, and then behind closed doors will be like, I'm sorry I ruined your life. Like, can you tell me who to pick now? Because I don't really know.
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now
and
Jim Jordan is investigating.
I've taken Chris Christie's advice before. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Chris Christie liked him. The Democrats liked him. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm picking the guy who Chris Christie and the Democrats like. I mean, geez, give me a break, dude. Chris Christie liked him. Are we voting for Chris Christie? Can we just at least admit now that it's not like Golden Calf versus Swamper? It's like Coke versus Pepsi. That's all I'm trying to accomplish here. Trump's best thing is foreign policy. I think he legitimately, if I had to put a list of things that I thought at this moment it could all change, that Trump would do better than DeSantis, I think DeSantis will probably flip-flop on foreign policy, maybe. But also DeSantis, if you really watch back, he does have a decent track record in the Middle East. He was against a lot of Middle East wars. He was against Syria. DeSantis really isn't who Trump's painting him to be. DeSantis has some good clips from 2013, 2012 that I've seen where he said we shouldn't invade Syria. So he's not who Trump says he is. I just think that Trump did good on foreign policy and made some strong decisions and is a strong leader. So I think that that's true. I think that Trump wins in the foreign policy category. Could DeSantis do just as good of a job or a better job? Sure. Could he do a worse job? Absolutely. But when it comes to all these other stuff, it's the same thing. It could go this way or it could go this way. But if I had to check, I'm like, who do I think would rein in big pharma? DeSantis. Who do I think would hire better? DeSantis. Who do I think would make government smaller? DeSantis. I don't even think Trump gives a crap. Like, Trump will print $5 trillion and be like, I do the best socialism. My socialism's great. Look at my Trump check. My Trump check. I signed my name on universal basic income for COVID. The China virus. Everybody's dying in Florida. I sound like a Democrat because I'm doing universal basic income. And it's like, Trump is so proud of communism and socialism. Thomas Massey's like, yo, stop printing the money. You're going to destroy the economy. And Trump's like, oh, you're a third-rate Republican. This is a Trump check. Like, that's who he is. So I don't see it. Like, if I had to guess, I'm not saying that DeSantis is for sure, but if I had to choose, who do I think would make government smaller? Probably DeSantis. Who do I think would rein in big pharma more? Definitely DeSantis. Yes, they both made mistakes during COVID, but Trump's mistake never ends. That's the difference. DeSantis did messed up stuff for a couple months, and he sold the vaccine 3 times. Trump did it 300 times, 30 times. He still hasn't stopped. It hasn't ended. The Trump vaccine, he won't admit it because he's such a, he has everyone by the nuts. He can look at his supporters' face, someone like David Harris or these people. God bless David, nice guy. But I'm just saying, he could look at David Harris and be like, my vaccine saved 100 million lives. And David Harris will not disagree. He'll be like, it's like, I want to eat a steak later. It's like, I'm not trying to be rude, but he knows the type of people he surrounds himself with. He doesn't surround himself with journalists who'll be like, dude, you didn't save 100 million lives. Why don't you talk about vaccine injuries? I think it's a terrible thing. I think that a lot of people got hurt from it. And even though you didn't mandate it, I still think it's bad. Socialism's bad. Big pharma's bad. And, opioids have killed millions of people. Those aren't mandated. Fentanyl isn't mandated. It's killed millions of people. So mandate isn't the only evil part of the scheme. Republicans go click, 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 give Democrats everything they want. Democrats slap down on you. And then Republicans act like they had no idea it was coming. I knew it was coming before the lockdown. I predicted mandatory vaccines in 2019 and 2020 before the lockdown. I predicted everything that would happen. I'm not a prophet. I could act like these QAnon pathological liar opportunist accounts and be like, I have a secret code. Patriots, it's going to happen. The lockdown's good. It's going to arrest the Vatican. And people are like, oh, God, Vatican's getting arrested today. It's like, no, they're not. I could lie to you and say I'm not a prophet. I research. I look at evidence. And when the evidence presents itself, I could see it. I knew they were going to lock the country down before they locked the country down. And I told my audience to stock up on groceries just in case, because they were probably going to lock down America. I told people that a week before, and I got hundreds of, oh, thanks so much. I got to the grocery store before it got too crazy and everybody was acting weird. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to go then. I told people mandatory vaccines were going to come a year before they came and months before they came. I knew they were going to sell a vaccine before they even said they were going to sell a vaccine. I'm not a prophet. I'm just not an idiot. So if I know this, you think the guy signing the executive orders and giving the money to pharma doesn't know this stuff's coming? He doesn't care. But that's so hard for people to realize. They want him to care so bad. Just believe in God, go to church. You don't need to make a fake fantasy over creaming your pants over a freaking socialist communist vaccine salesman that listens to Chris Christie and Democrats. It's ridiculous. It's great. And it's like, there's bad hombres on Trump and DeSantis, but it's Coke versus Pepsi. And I don't care. Just like I didn't care when I made the song, I like Trump. I didn't care what people told me. In 2018, people said, you can't make a song about Trump. No one will I don't give a shit what people in the hip hop industry think, or I don't care what people in the music industry think. I never did. That's why I never had a deal. And people could act like I never would have this and that. I had record label meetings at Sony. They had me up in the office that Neo was in, and they told me, and I never wanted to do what they had to do. So I never cared. But in general, I made that song because I didn't care. I just liked him at the time. In 2020, I spoke against the lockdowns because I disagreed with it. And I thought it was fake and stupid. And all of that aged well. And now, the influencer class of new sellouts and new rhinos pretending to be populists want to act like Trump is the golden hero and DeSantis is the swamper. And I see it as Coke and Pepsi. And I think that at this moment, DeSantis is the slightly better option. I even have people that are supposed to be on the new woke right make it like coming at like Ryan Dawson, and I'm not knocking the guy. I mean, I'd love to maybe have a debate or conversation sometime, but he's like, oh, you love Israel if you like DeSantis. It's like, bro, Trump loves Israel. Why lie to yourself? You know this. I know he knows this. Everyone knows this. Trump's like the most pro-Israel president ever. When it comes to him and DeSantis, they both love Israel. They'll both do whatever Israel says. It's very similar. You could say that Trump's done more, DeSantis has done more, but it's very debatable. So it's the same as like, if you're like, oh, if you like Trump, you like Democrats. So you like Biden, it's so robotic. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's acting so fake. It's so weird. And I know a lot of influencers are nervous. You got to understand, not everybody's tough. Even in the right-wing world, it's the same way that they took away your job if you wouldn't get a vaccine. It's the same way your liberal friends shunned you if you said you thought Trump wasn't that bad guy. It's the same type of pressure from these Trump people that if you say that you think DeSantis is slightly better than Trump, that they'll excommunicate you. And I know that the pressure is real because I follow a lot of friends that like Trump and they work for him and they're just like Republican whatevers. And it's like they're doing polls on Instagram and they say, who do you want to vote for, Trump or DeSantis? And I don't even want to vote DeSantis, even though I'm leaning DeSantis over Trump. Not heavily. He's not my idol. I don't think it's like, golden calf versus Pepsi or anything or arsenic, but I just think he's slightly better based on all the evidence. And I would rather roll the dice with him than Trump at this point. And even though I'm a tough guy, I won't even vote in these polls because I don't feel like dealing with the backlash of all of these hyenas just freaking out at me. So it's like, the same way that you were afraid to say what your vaccination status were because they're trying to kick you out of a freaking Walmart, the same way that you didn't want to say that you were conservative or like Trump because liberals were acting psychotic and possibly even threatening your job. It's the same way that Trump supporters are acting now, and all these Trump worshiping influencer sellouts. It's like they want to make this perception that he's so great and DeSantis is so bad. It's not the truth. I'm not afraid of these people, but I'm just not going to vote in a poll to get in an Instagram argument. But I see it that way, and I'm not backing down. I know there's a few people like it, and honestly, there are a lot of losers on the DeSantis side as well. It's not like everybody's amazing. Some of the fakest, biggest loser people that I've followed over the last years, not followed, but just seen, they're liking DeSantis. I definitely see a lot of these lobbyist sneaks cozying up to DeSantis, and I see a lot of sneaks cozying up to Trump. I see it. People are like, you don't see who's around DeSantis? I see it. I'm just trying to make this point that it's not Trump the hero versus DeSantis the swamper. They're very similar. Bad people on both sides. Rhinos close to both administrations. Donors on both sides. Loser influencers on both sides. I just think DeSantis is slightly better. But the fact that I'm even willing to say that it's extremely close as far as the pros and the cons is a truth that no one will say. 9 out of 10 influencers are acting like it's golden calf versus piece of trash, and it's not. And I know that a lot of people don't actually believe that. It's like kindergarten. If you leave the cool kids table, your whole career's done. The difference between me, though, is my career ends when you decide it ends or when I want it to end, because to be honest, I've broken away from these NPCs for 3 years now. During COVID, people always say, oh, all you had was Trump. I'm not going to lie, just like CNN and everyone else, Trump is good for ratings. Trump obviously brought a lot of eyes to the political movement, but I had millions of views, millions of listens, millions of everything when it was Bernie Sanders versus Hillary. I got a lot more when it came to Trump. And if you want to be honest, my biggest year ever was 2020 under COVID. And I wasn't even just saying Trump, 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 Trump. I was countering Trump more than I was complimenting him. I got videos with 10 million views criticizing him and Bill Gates until, Facebook took it down. And I've read reports that Bill Gates asked Facebook to take it down. That's what certain reports said. So I find that interesting. But anyway, it's like, so no, that's actually not true. I'm not, people are trying to act as if I'm them, or it's like I've read Trump for 6 years. And that's why they're afraid to leave now, because they don't have an identity and they don't have a career if they leave the cool kids table. I've left that table 4 years ago. I left that table in 2019 because I talked about the speech laws that Trump and DeSantis were passing with the Israel stuff. And guess what? I'm not going to talk about it that much because I know that people want attention and it's multiple groups, etc. But in the last 3 weeks before my vacation, I've gotten smeared more than I've ever gotten smeared by my life, by rabbis, by Jewish organizations, by email blasts. Like, people are trying to basically call me the biggest anti-Semite, and I'm not. I don't even hate. There's millions of people who don't even think Israel has a right to exist. Who am I to tell Israel or Palestine who to exist? I don't think I'm God. So I've never said Israel can't exist. I never said they can't fight for what they believe is theirs. It's not my business. It's like, I'm the biggest anti-Semite. Why? Because I talk about the speech laws that Trump, Biden, and DeSantis passed. And I'm telling you, that's one of the biggest issues out there that nobody wants to talk about. And they know that I can't be controlled, that I can't be bought, and I'm not another one of these fake false paradigmers that's just going to run you in circles around nothing. So now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy because I mentioned the word Zionism. I don't even say Zionism can't exist or Zionism is. I just say there is a lot of influence in American politics. And as an American citizen, I believe in the First Amendment, and I don't believe that hate speech laws work. I don't believe that these laws work. I've read all the laws. I almost memorized them at this point, not because I'm hateful, because I know what Biden, Trump, and DeSantis are all doing. I've read them. One of the laws, I'll just give you an example of why I disagree with it. One of the laws says that you can't criticize Israel more than you criticize other democratic nations. First of all, what do you classify as a democratic nation? Second of all, what does that apply to? So if Trump, DeSantis, and Biden are trying to pass through these speech laws, and one of them says you can't criticize Israel more than another democratic nation, what if, I'm just giving a hypothetical, because this didn't necessarily happen because there were other worse countries, but let's just say Israel's is doing a vaccine mandate more than any other democratic country. Just like, America had one of the worst policies when it was incoming travelers. Like, if I was saying, oh, America sucks the most because America won't allow incoming travelers without a vaccine, do I hate America? No, I'm just pointing out that America's doing more. So if Israel was doing more and you were to then start to criticize Israel because of their forced vaccine policy, the speech law technically applies to that because it says that you can't criticize Israel more than another democratic nation. And they don't leave any sort of leeway where, is that nation doing more? I always use this as an example with Ukraine. Ukraine is talked about and criticized more than any other European nation right now. Why? Because they're at war, and most importantly, they're sucking a lot of money away from America and other countries, mostly America, though. So it doesn't mean you hate Ukraine if you criticize Ukraine or you support Ukraine, you love them more than other countries. It's just they're in a thing that draws more attention and view. There shouldn't be legislation that says that you can or can't criticize Israel or Russia or whatever, Ukraine. That's crazy, but that's what they're doing. So because they're doing that, and I'm going to sound the alarm on this as much as I can, because it's been one of the things that is like, I'm fine, but it's hurt my career in some ways, the same way not rapping about what they wanted me to rap about hurt my career. Not that it didn't actually hurt my career because it blossomed a real career. But anyway, the number one thing that holds me back in anything is what I just told you. It's the reason they've been smearing me in right-wing circles since 2019, before the lockdown, when I realized that Trump and DeSantis are doing it. It's launched one of the craziest smear campaigns where they're trying to tie me to violent events and stuff like that. And I'll just say, be on the lookout for things that happen, like when they were blaming Tim Pool and libs of TikTok, who happens to be Jewish, by the way, which it's like they're just smearing this poor Jewish woman because she's conservative and posts TikTok accounts. But anyway, be on the lookout of that. That's a tactic that I believe they're going to use. I believe they're going to start having tragedies, and I'm not saying that they're going to be faked, but they could. If you read the JFK files, they talked about sinking a boatload of Cubans to achieve a goal, and they said we can either do it real or simulated. That's mainstream news, CBS, that they were willing to sink a boatload of Cubans or fake simulate it in order to achieve a mean. So false flags are real. There's plenty of them. With that being said, whether it's false or whether it's real, it's easy for them to plant something or plant a profile or whatever. And they're going to start doing that. And they're going to start saying, well, because this person said this, then they're going to try to tie podcasters and people that they can't control to events to then try to damage their character and potentially even more, like try to hold them accountable. It's like, I understand that defamation is a thing, so you got to be careful what you say. But when it comes to, Alex Jones, it's like the dude got sued more than the guy who actually did the crime, or at least like they're trying to suck more money out of him. So in general, I see that just like watching the way things go, they're trying to paint this narrative that, white people aren't the only supremacists for white people, and that it's like other people, because they're calling like Indian people and like Mexican people like white supremacists. And it's like, I mean, anything's possible. Whoopi Goldberg says she's Jewish. I think, Rachel Dolezal says she's black. I identify as Whoopi Goldberg sometimes because I want to be a black Jewish woman for obvious reasons. There's a lot of, get me out of jail cards with that. But in general, it's like, I guess anything's possible. But I find the recent couple like weeks just very strange. Like, here's a narrative, here's a bill, here's something that don't smell right to me. So I'm just going to say that regardless of what happens, be on the lookout for them to start blaming podcasters and influencers that they can't control by, trying to pin events that have nothing to do with them on them based on social media posts. That's my view. One of the things that really stood out to me with the Jussie Smollett thing, I think this was one of the least reported angles of it, but maybe the most intriguing one, was that, Kamala Harris passed a lynching bill when Jussie Smollett did the thing. So if you're following before Jussie Smollett got caught, it was like, I got lynched. And it was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, that's happening in America. And then it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy that this is happening to people in America still. And then Kamala Harris and other Democrats that miraculously somehow already knew and hung out with Jussie Smollett, now they're passing these like anti-lynching bills. And it's weird for two reasons. One, lynching's already illegal. You can't just violently assault somebody. It doesn't matter if you're in Arkansas or Kansas or California. No state allows you to violently assault somebody like that. So it's already a violent crime and a heavy crime in every single state. So they're trying to either do one of two things. Either there's something else in that bill, there's something else that's in there that they're trying to pass and sneak on a tragedy, or they're trying to push a narrative and plant it in people's heads by just pushing a bill that actually doesn't do anything, but then fulfills a narrative for the voting thing, because that's one of the main things that gets a lot of left-wing people, especially young. It's like racism, Republicans bad, vote for Democrats. Like, that's one of their main things. And it doesn't just work on quote unquote minorities. It works on white people also. And I say quote unquote because I just think minorities is like a minority of what? If you're a guy, you're not really a minority. If you're a woman, you're not like outnumbered. If you're, a certain race, you're probably not outnumbered in the world. You might be a majority in the world. So I feel like that's a framing to make you feel small. But so I try not to use it. But in general, this is the type of stuff they do. These are the games that they play. So just keep an eye out. Appreciate everyone. I'll probably hang out for a few minutes since I already went overboard with the time. Sorry about my energy today a little bit. I'm not on cocaine, despite popular theories. Two things are going on. I'm a little under the weather. My voice sounds a little different. I felt weird the last couple of days, but I feel okay, just a little weird. And then I have this giant light in my face too. I don't know. I tried to brighten myself up, but I think I might change that. It's a little aggressive. Someone says so many fake people. It's hard to trust anyone. Someone post a link. It says Donald Trump, Pence's task force, and why DeSantis's revisionist attacks will fail. Whatever you want to believe, my man. If you want to buy into it, I think what I just said is the most accurate. But you can believe it's golden calf versus a piece of poop. But it's Coke versus Pepsi. And the more I listen to DeSantis, and he's boring, he sounds like a politician. He's pretty stale, but he's pragmatic. I mean, I know the difference between listening to somebody like Jeb Bush or George Bush and DeSantis. They're different, whether people want to admit it or not. Trump is a showman. He's more interesting. He's more funny, but he's not saying anything. He's not explaining how he's going to do it. And he should explain how he's going to do it because he already didn't do it. So it's not like, it's not like the track record is flawless. Like, dude, the 4 years were amazing. And it's like, no, dude, it's not how it went. So I'm drawn towards the guy that's like, here's how I'm going to do it. Here's how I'm going to do it. I don't see DeSantis running around lying all the time. I'm not saying he's like your best friend, but it's like, I'm going towards the truth. If DeSantis is going to tell the truth 95% of the time and Trump's going to go 50-50 and he's going to be like, my vaccine was amazing. Florida sucks. The Democrats did a better job. Chris Cuomo did a better job with the COVID deaths. It's like, I feel like it's a real like segregation of like who actually has a brain, who has a spine, who has a soul, who is so manipulative or able to be manipulated that they're willing to put up with anything I say or do. I could lie. Like, that's how I feel about the movement now. I feel like it's the same thing I used to say about the left. If the left goes, up is up, and they go, yeah, up is up, and they go, well, actually, no, up is down, and then the left will be like, well, up is down, that is true. It's like left is right, right is left, and 1 + 1 is 3. Democrats would be like, well, I mean, I don't want to be a racist, so left is right, right is left, 1 + 1 is 3. I used to make fun of the left for that for years because it's insane. They don't have a up and a down and a left and a right. They're willing to just be like, all of these things that they're thinking they didn't even think 5 years ago. It's okay to evolve and learn, but I felt like the left, they didn't have like a stance on anything. They'll change on a dime based on what the other side does or what the television tells them to do. I feel the same way about the Trump movement now. If Trump says up is up, they'll be like, up is up. If Trump says up is down, they'll be like, well, up is down, down is up. Up is down. I mean, it was his advisors who said it. If Trump says my vaccine sucks, people will be like, the vaccine sucks. And they'll be like, no, my vaccine was amazing. They're like, I mean, it was a therapeutic. I mean, there were therapeutics. And it's like, my vaccine saved 100 million lives. People will be like, well, maybe it did. In the alternate reality, like, dude, the Trump movement is just as delusional as liberals. They're just as insane. If DeSantis says up is up, down is down, I'll be like, up is up, down is down. If DeSantis says down is up, I'll be like, no, it's not. If DeSantis says the vaccine saved 1 billion lives, no, it didn't. When DeSantis lied about the vaccine, I called him out and made a video about it. Trump has people under a spell. He's brainwashed Republicans. I don't know any other way to put it. If DeSantis is like, here's the vaccine, it's so amazing, people will be like, I don't think it's that amazing. If Trump's like, here it is, it's amazing, they'll be like, yeah, no, I don't agree with that. But I mean, it's like, but it saved 100 million lives. They'll be like, I mean, it might have, but through saving the world from a 50-year lockdown. I mean, he got a Nikola Tesla time machine. I mean, who knows? It could be. It's like, dude, Trump supporters are just as insane as liberals at this point. And someone said the fact that Trump still spreads the official COVID narrative tells me everything we need to know. That was the worst thing to happen in our country in a lifetime. I can't imagine what advisors are around him that's like, hey, just take the CNN COVID data talking point from 2020 and just use it as a smear tactic against DeSantis. But here's the thing. Why shouldn't he do it if his base is that foolish? I was going to say dumb, but I'm not trying to offend people. Foolish. If people are that dumb, he should keep doing it. Like, the fact that he's not being laughed out of the room just proves how fake everybody is. I don't think people are stupid. I think a lot of people are fake. Like, Trump is taking Democrat CNN talking points that they use to lock the country down with COVID, talking about data without talking about PCR tests, how they're counting per capita, how many old people are there, how many people are in the state, all these things. I mean, I have the book over here, How to Lie with Statistics. There's 30 ways to lie with statistics, and Trump's using all of them. He doesn't care. He's repeating the same propaganda that the left did because he wants to beat DeSantis by any means necessary. Doesn't care if he has to lie, doesn't care if he has to make stuff up, doesn't care if he has to become a Democrat. He's hitting DeSantis from the left in so many ways. So he's like, how dare DeSantis go at Disney? Oh, what do you want him to do, Trump? Just get on Twitter and talk about it? Like, that's who he is. It's so annoying. I'm so tired of it. I don't even care anymore. It's like, get those people that like that, go play with the other phonies or something. It's like, DeSantis, I mean, what did he do? He should have settled it out with Disney. Bro, you're mad that DeSantis actually used his power to try to put Disney accountable like everyone else? What would you have done? Disney's so bad. Yeah. And then you would have like done a deal with Disney. That's the trouble. Ooh, big pharma sucks. I'll just give them money. That's the way to do it. It's like, yeah, we get it. You don't have any values. You have no stance. You know, at a certain point, it's time to fix the economy. If Disney does all these jobs, that's amazing. But it's time for a conservative company to do all these things. And you got the money, my guy. Let's build our own. I know it's a little ambitious to build a theme park, but we can figure it out. I already know other conservative theme parks. I believe that Knott's Berry Farm is more conservative in that branch. They were not force masking. I went there during that stuff. There are other competitors that are less concerned. You go to Knott's Berry Farm, they got Christian mangers everywhere, and they didn't force mask the people or the employees. I could tell just by the Christian mangers and not force masking that they're a massive conglomerate that's not as liberal. Why don't you talk to them? No, do a deal with Disney. Yeah, no. But this is Trump. He's the god of the false religion. His whole base could be boycotting Target and boycotting Bud Light, and their family will be like, don't boycott Bud Light because we get donor money from there. It's like, and the base is like, well, I mean, if anyone else said that, we drop them, but it's our God, so we must vote for him because that makes so much sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm trying to like look through things that make sense. Trump has better foreign policy, or at least he's showed that. And, DeSantis is a question mark. That makes sense. Everyone else's takes make no sense. I know what's happened to a lot of influencers. They've been sniffing their own butts. They haven't been challenging themselves. They've been dunking on the left. They've been sucking up TPUSA and Prager money and Daily Wire money or whoever's paying these people. You know what I'm saying? They've been riding the coattails, hang out at Mar-a-Lago, doing their little donor things, fake fighting with the left all the time. And they haven't had an intellectual thought or debate in the last 5 years. They've basically grifted their way to the top of these right-wing outlets, and they've become just the person. I've seen this years ago. I did a pilot for Newsmax. I won't say with who. There were 6 people on it. Apparently, the show never got picked up. They texted me after, said I did a good job. But they asked a question. It was about like the military, and it was like the truthful answer was like super simple, but like they went down the line and like everyone gave like the NPC right-wing talking point as if they're just like push button robots. And I was the only one, not to be a contrarian just because I'm not an idiot. I'm like, they're like, this, and I'm like, yeah, but and then they were like, oh, no one disagreed with me. They're like, that's a good point. That's actually a really good point, Anomaly. No, I didn't think of that. No, I agree with that. I'm like, this is how people treat me when I get in the room. That's why, despite everything I say, I don't get that much backlash besides these psycho organizations coming for me, because all these influencers, they know I'm the truth. They know I'm honorable. They know I'm honest. They know I'm real. They know they're lying. So it's like, they know when they're like, yeah, I don't agree with that, but I mean, I can't figure out why he's wrong because he's not really, but I'm not that guy. I mean, I don't want to lose my spot at the table. It's like, they know, it's like that's what happens when I walk into it. And maybe they don't want me around because I ruined their whole little illusion. It's like, if you go into a right-wing show and it's like, everyone says the same thing and it doesn't even make sense. It's just like a basic like Newsmax or Fox News talking point that gets people riled up. And then I come through and be like, I hear what you're saying. I kind of agree, but like, you didn't even think about this angle of it. And then everyone's like, no, that's actually really smart. That actually makes more sense than what I'm doing. I'm being like an incompassionate dickhead, just saying what I think people want to hear, but they're not thinking anymore. They're not thinking. And I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but I'm going to give myself flowers now since no one else will give it to me. I did one interview on Fox News. They only asked me to do it one time, and I only got to talk for 2 minutes. That clip has over 4 million views and 67,000 shares. I'm a superstar. I don't care what people say. And I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm just saying I am that. They put these losers on TV. Nobody even wants to watch it online. I got one chance to be on Fox News for 2 minutes. It's got 4 million views. Did I say something too honest? Someone said, you've lost your way. I thought you understood politics. What's your brilliant analysis, Solo? It's like this, you've lost your way. I used to believe. What did I lose? Find me, Solo. Help me. I'm in a field begging for your wisdom. What do you got for me, guy? Someone said, ML said, indeed important to recognize that Trump actually sold out with the vaccines in the end. He sold out with a lot of stuff, but it's like he doesn't care. The point that I'm trying to get to is I'm going to play this again. What part of this do people not understand? He goes out on stage and he'll be like, Chris Christie sucks. Paul Ryan sucks. DeSantis sucks. Bro, if DeSantis did such a bad job on COVID, why were you coattail riding him for 2 years? All your supporters, he did the best job. He did the best job. My narrative about COVID matches what I said in March 2020, May 2020, because I believe it. You can have a few months to figure it out. I'll give you some leeway, April, whatever. But I believe what I say. None of these people believe themselves. For 2 years, DeSantis is the best governor. DeSantis really stuck it to the left. DeSantis is really fighting them because he figured it out quicker than not all, but most governors, and he turned it and became a leading figure with a state that people wanted to vacation. And he was like years ahead of a lot of Democrat states. And they were all like, he's the best. And now that he's running, it's like, he's the worst. He's the worst. They're politicians. They're fake. The difference is DeSantis doesn't seem like he has to lie that much in order to run his campaign. It's like Trump, the only way he could beat DeSantis is by pathologically lying and getting a bunch of operatives to be like that have to delete their account where it's like, DeSantis is the best governor in the world. They said that like 6 months ago. The second, he's the worst. I mean, he's worse than Chris Cuomo. They don't believe this stuff. And the funniest part is people believe it. You think they're going to fight the deep state with this?
I may have made a mistake, but I put somebody in that the other side, everybody agreed to. You know who recommended him to me? Chris Christie. Okay, he recommended him. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I've taken Chris Christie's recommendations before. And other people wanted Christopher Wray. And people from the other side wanted Christopher Wray.
But now
and
Jim Jordan is investigating.
The problem isn't just that Trump lied about the vaccine. The problem is he's just this, he doesn't care. Like everyone paints this fake reality that he cares so much. He listens to Chris Christie. He likes Paul Ryan. He likes the Democrats. He likes Gavin Newsom. He listens to them. He gives them ventilators. He gives them money. He funds all this stuff. And then he comes out on stage and he calls all these people rhinos that he's friends with. He actually convinced and brainwashed his base into thinking that Mike Pence is like his worst enemy. Guys, he picked Mike Pence. Mike Pence didn't get voted for. Trump picked him. But he's a victim. He's not a victim. Trump is just a terrible person that's like, last ditch effort, your fault. And then everyone's like, it's his fault. Guys, if you think that winning an election means Mike Pence overturning an election on January 6th and sending it back to electorates who already sent it there, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm sorry. I get that this is an unpopular position because everybody lies about it. I don't like Mike Pence. I like Trump. I like Trump more than Pence. I don't trust Mike Pence. But this idea that because everything else failed, the courts failed, the Hail Mary failed, that Mike Pence is just magically going to throw it back to electorates. What are they going to do? They already gave it in. Oh, they're going to change it now. They really learned no, they didn't. They're probably just getting death threats and stuff. So they just changed their mind because they were like nervous. It's just like so stupid. He's a rhino. Trump picked him. So Trump picked a rhino. What part are people not getting? It's like Chris Christie's a rhino. It's like, well, Trump said that's how he chose his FBI director. It's like, I mean, I guess he just had bad advisors. So does it make him a bad leader if he listens to bad advisors? No, he's just really foolish. I mean, is it a good quality to be really foolish and get fooled all the time to be a leader? Like, shouldn't you have someone who makes like good decisions. Like, what are you, Paul Ryan? It's like, bro, Trump has scrambled the minds of the masses. He somehow scrambled the brains of the left. I mean, Rachel Maddow and CNN did a number on these people, New York Times, etc., through the false paradigm of Donald Trump. And now he's scrambled the brains of the right. He's the perfect bull in a china shop, as they say, but to break your brain, not to break the deep state. When it comes to the deep state, he's listening to Chris Christie and Democrats. When it comes to, vaccines, he's hanging out with Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, doing everything they need. So he's a bull in the china shop, right? But he's not breaking up the enemies. He's talking to them to break up your brain. But whatever. Sounds like someone's not going to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, for sure not going. I mean, I'd hang out and chat, but I'm not controllable or lobbyable. I would do an interview. I'll do an interview with Trump. I'll do an interview with DeSantis. I'll do an interview with, Thomas Massey. I'll do an interview with Congress people that I know, but no one, I don't think people want an actual interview. We'll see though. Can you say juicy smoothie again? Juicy smoulier? I don't know. The artist formerly known as Jesse Smollett. This one is a contemporary piece. I call it Two Nigerian Dudes Attacking Me with a Subway Sandwich, and I'm going to say it's white Trump supporters. Ah! Kamala Harris is like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening. We got to pass a bill. You got to pass a bill to make something that's already illegal? Dude, some crazy stuff going on. It's all so fake. Someone said this guy's just a fence walker. I'm actually not. I'm principled. I'm gonna tell you something, Dave, that's not walking the fence. It's like the whole right wing thinks they're like fighting Bill Gates, right? Just as hard as you're fighting Chris Christie, right? Bill Gates is a globalist and he really hates us. It's like, then why did Trump try to give him a White House position? Did he? I don't know. I dare you to Google it. Oh, might not be your friend though. And in 2018, Trump met with Bill Gates, offered him a position in the White House. Nobody wants to ask Trump if it's true or not, because I don't think they want to know the answer. It's probably not good for the campaign. And then in 2019, Trump took exactly what Bill Gates told him and passed it through executive order. It was a universal modernizing flu vaccine executive order that just majestically lined up with Event 201 a couple of months before the lockdown. Whoa, I'm a fence sitter, right? I mean, I should just be like, gulp, gulp, gulp. Oh, wow, I love this scam. I mean, the only way to not sit on the fence is just to let your leaders scam you. I mean, no, fence sitting is like not paying attention and just being like, it's Coke or Pepsi, and then drinking it and be like, this is the Napoleon elixir. This is Ponce de Leon's discovery. No, it's just politics. Trump's a politician. He lied to you. Now looking back on it, so much was a lie. I bought into it because I'm like a patient person. I'm like, he can't do everything in one day. He's only a human. But now that I look back on it, he lied about a lot of stuff. He said he'd never take anyone's money. That was like his whole thing. I'll never take anyone's money. I don't need their money. I'm so rich. He didn't do. He said, I'll never take corporations' money. Google Trump takes money from Disney executive, and look how much money Trump took from a Disney executive. Google it. Find it out for yourself. When he ran, he said he wouldn't take money from executives. He said he wasn't going to take donor money. He said he wasn't going to take Sheldon Adelson money. Dude, Trump lied about all that. He took all the money, all the donor money, the Sheldon Adelson money, the corporation money, all of it. He raised more money for his inauguration than Obama did. He got over $100 million from people like Pfizer, Bank of America. And this is the point I'm trying to say. Someone said DeSantis is a puppet. Solo, the point that I'm trying to say is everything that Trump accuses DeSantis of, he also does. Trump is painting the false paradigm. He's taking donor money. You take donor money also. You're just mad because DeSantis is taking your donors, because a lot of donors who like Trump realize they're like, oh, this guy could probably do better. Trump's not who he says he is. That's a fact. But whatever. If you want to believe that only DeSantis takes money and Trump doesn't, lie to yourself. That's all I'm here to do. I'm not here to tell you that DeSantis is the greatest thing since sliced bread and Donald Trump's a zero. It's Coke versus Pepsi, and Trump is just lying. All these things he accuses DeSantis of, he also does. And I don't trust liars. I don't trust DeSantis, but he doesn't need to lie as much as Trump for whatever reason. Maybe that's just not his angle. I don't like liars. I don't like when Trump lies about the vaccine. I don't like when he lies or accuses people of what he does. It comes off very weird. It's all very weird, you know? Someone said you went from following Trump to believing in Trump. You made a mistake. Anomaly, speaking truth. You lost your way. You know, I was thinking about this too. It's not like the song makes that much money, but, you know, I have a song called I Like Trump from 2018 before Trump, or maybe he already was working on it and I didn't realize. But, you know, I might take the money that I make, because people were like, you're profiting. It makes pennies, trust me. But if it makes hundreds or whatever, I'm going to take the money, I think, for the next year or two that I Like Trump, the song, makes, and I'm going to donate it to the vaccine injured and people who got injured from the Trump vaccine. So, you know, so people stop crying about, oh, you want the song. It's like, dude, I would delete the song tomorrow. I don't really care, but people still like it. And there's still some cool people in the Trump family. Barron Trump is still very cool. But in general, it's like, I'll just donate all the money I make from that song to vaccine injured people who got injured from the Trump vaccine. So there you go. So I'll raise awareness to all the, you know, the millions of people that Trump tries to pretend like he doesn't exist as he runs around pathologically lying about his little pet, you know, socialist vaccine project and scamming the world, while a bunch of loser Republican influencers are afraid to talk about it because they don't want to, you know, stop gulping down filet mignons at Mar-a-Lago. And Emil said the sad part is that you have to choose about who's less corrupt. It's sad, but it's just like, it's life. It wouldn't be that bad if people just came to their senses, figured it out a little bit, but it's just getting bad because like the left is just like getting like crazier. The right is just getting faker. Like, I agree with the right more than the left on topics as far as like I'm going to vote for Republicans like 10 out of 10 times. But who do I like better? I really don't like Republicans. I don't like them any less than I like liberals. Like, liberals are annoying. Republicans are just as annoying. In fact, I find a lot of Republicans more annoying because it's like they're just filling the space pretending to be someone they're not. So it's almost like in some ways they're worse. They're worth voting for, but a lot of these people are terrible people. And they're just there to keep the show going. There is no Tom and Jerry if there's only Tom or just Jerry. You need Tom and Jerry. So a lot of these people, they need each other. CNN needs Trump. That's why, and Trump in some ways wants what CNN has for some reason. I don't know. You know, maybe the demographics, maybe he just wants like attention or the praise from his old friends. I don't know. But it's like CNN does a deal with Trump because as much as they hate Trump, they love Trump and need Trump. When it comes to, you know, left-wing and right-wing influencers, how many right-wing people do you follow where all that they do is just talk about left-wingers all the time? They don't analyze anything that's outside of like the Trump era. It's like they're basically either just dunking on the left all the time or they're Trump regurgitators. They don't have an intelligent or an interesting thought of their own in their brain at all. All they know is how to either just like make fun of like 18-year-olds that are like depressed and like regurgitate what Trump says. It's actually insane because when I see some of these, I mean, the teachers and stuff, they need to be called out. But when I see like grown men dunking on like 19-year-olds, it's kind of evil. It's like, yeah, that person is depressed and insane and they're like 20 years old at college and you're a 35-year-old man probably cheating on your wife and you're a piece of garbage. So it's like, you're not really like, I guess you could convince people that you're like such a hero or whatever, but you know, making fun of like a depressed liberal kid's kind of mean. You know, going at Kamala Harris or talking about the teachers, brainwashing them, or, you know, that's all fair game, or the corporations, you know, propagandizing them. But to just go at the kid, it's a little strange. But that's what people do. You know, that's like their whole career. It's annoying to me and I don't like it, but I'll vote for the right. I don't see it as like, oh, these guys are really crushing them. It's like, no, Jerry needs Tom and Tom needs Jerry. You know, it takes two to tango. And without that economy, these people don't have much. You know, the COVID era was really good for business. I'm not proud of it, but it's like everyone's stuck in their house. Both parties are lying and so much is on the line. So before they started censoring me and after they started censoring me, I mean, obviously there was some leeway, but my views skyrocketed at that time to a level that will probably only come back during the election or something, because I mean, maybe never, because of what happened. Everyone's stuck in the house. No one can do anything else. Their freedom's on the line, their job's on the line, their family's on the line. Everything they love is on the line. And Donald Trump's running around selling the vaccine, and a bunch of hyenas following him have no critical thinking skills. So I'm out here doing full-on reports that I would win a Pulitzer if it weren't for like Jeffrey Epstein's friends or whatever, if it was actually for journalism. But anyway, it's like there's, that's valuable. People are sharing it, watching it, sharing it, watching it. I'm getting, tens of millions of views a week because there's value there. So I'm admitting this to you though, and then, Trump is obviously good for business, but at the same time, it's like, I guess like certain things are just more viral. Like when Kanye is just wilding out, it's like an analysis on that, whether you love it or hate it, or somewhere in the middle, that does more views. That's just the reality. Like me reacting to Ben Shapiro or something, there's like certain things that drag in more views. But besides that, it's like, I'll tell you about it. I'm not going to like try to recreate COVID or, basically just like do the same thing on loop just because it's doing better. I have my moment and then I'll move on. And I understand that things come in waves and there's other ways to, capitalize and grow my business. But, I feel like there's certain ways to pigeonhole yourself in this world. Like, for example, if all I knew how to do was talk about COVID like every day, it's like, no, I do still talk about it a lot because it's important. And there's been no accountability. It's one of the craziest things that's ever happened. It's still going. They're still trying to kick people out of the country for not being vaccinated with visas. They're still janky with the laws. So it's still worth talking about, but you get what I'm saying? I've gone through phases that I'm able to evolve because as long as people trust me and as long as they know that I'm going to do my best, then, there's going to be value there. And then there's always like little booms and busts. I feel like there's an easy way in this game to really pigeonhole yourself. Like I've seen people do crazy, twists that make no sense. Like, for example, Joe Walsh. I don't know if you guys know Joe Walsh. Apparently at one point he's like a Republican Tea Party guy, like he's a Tea Party, like real Republican. And now he's like a Republican who hangs out with all the Democrats who just sounds like a Democrat. I'm not saying he can't feel the way he feels, but at this point, I don't think he's a conservative. He's like, I'm a conservative. I just agree with the liberals. So I'm like, does that guy really believe what he believes? Did he have a huge awakening where he became a liberal? Or, is this something else? Was he running out of room and he really didn't like Trump? And he realized that the people who really, really didn't like Trump were the liberals. And it would just be a better move to just go full on than to play the game he's playing. So I feel like some people, it's okay to evolve, but some people's like career trajectory, they're kind of pigeonholed and they can't really like maneuver out of it. Like if you spent 4 years telling people to trust the plan of the satanic fake religion called Q, where you basically, instead of worshiping Jesus, you worship Donald Trump and just pathologically lie about everything that happens and convince like MAGA moms that it's like a Nancy Drew mystery, where it's like, oh, the lockdown can't be bad. It's a secret Vatican plot. Like, that's a pathological lie. That's what they told you. They'll never admit it because they're pathological. But anyway, it's like if you were that pathological liar, if you're a grown man pathologically lying to older women every day about this satanic fake religion that you made for, your hope, but it's really just like a lie. How are you going to just stop doing that one day? It's not as easy as a switch to be like, well, here's the logical reasons that you're just like, I guess I just got to keep doing it. It's like, just drag it out forever. It's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, it's like, I think a lot of people are stuck. They're afraid. They're afraid to they're afraid to change their mind because that would mean they'd have to change their social network and everything. It could be scary. Off camera, I've talked to somebody and they've said something similar. They're like, well, if you're right about that, then like we're screwed. And it's like, no, you're screwed because you have made your whole life around that lie. I'm not screwed. The country's not screwed. You can't ride the coattails of Trump for 50 years. Like whether it's in 4 years, 6 years, next year, like eventually you have to stop. Like people have built their whole lives around Donald Trump that they literally think that everything's done when he leaves. But he's got to leave. Everyone left, dude. From Nixon to Abe Lincoln left too soon. But you get what I'm saying. Like no one stays forever. But these people are such opportunists that it's like, if you're right, then we're screwed. No, we're not. You're screwed. We're not screwed. The country's not screwed. I'm not screwed. Conservatives are not screwed. And you're not even really screwed. It's just like you think you're screwed because you built a whole world around your false perception of one person because you benefit from that person in an economy with money, with trips, with parties, with donor meetings, with speaking appearances. So if you were to have an awakening and say, you know what? I realized that Trump, I don't hate him, but he's not really who I thought he was. There goes the trips. There goes the steaks. There goes the meetings. There goes the speaking events. There goes your social network. There goes it all. You get what I'm saying? It all goes away. It's scary for people to do that. I've just never cared. I don't know. I've never really cared about that. I can't, and it's been successful. So I think there's other alternate routes. It's like selling your own CDs versus like signing to a label. There's obviously hundreds of people who sign and have success. There's hundreds of people who sign and don't have success. And then there's like a Amish family who sells 1 million records out of their van. It's like, it's not easy, but it's doable. You just got to want to do it and have conviction. Someone said, who is Joe Walsh? Exactly. I'm not talking about Matt Walsh. I'm talking about Joe Walsh. He was a Tea Party Republican who's become like the Ana Navarro of the left. Like he's always on like, left-wing news. And he's like, I'm a Republican, but I'm fine with Drag Queen Story Hour. He's like, I'm a Republican, but I just agree with the liberals on literally everything. It's like, bro, you're not really a conservative. Like, it's fine. I mean, it's not, but it's whatever. It's like, just stop lying. Like, there's a difference between being like, I'm conservative. I'm still conservative. I disagree with the money printing and the vaccine sales. And I think this person's a liar, but I still have these values. And then somebody who's like, I have none of these values anymore. I used to, but I just don't anymore. It's like, yeah, but I guess that's the new move now is to be like, I'm the Republican that just agrees with liberals all the time. It's the same way it was like being the liberal who agrees with conservatives. That's something that I did for a minute, but I wasn't faking it. I was just like, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. So it was like, it was a better story than me just being like, build a wall. Yeah. I was like, I didn't even vote for him, but I figured it out quickly. And I was nervous to say this for a long time because I was afraid of the social backlash, but I'm just going to say it. Trump's not that bad. Here's 15 things he's done. Here's 5 things that he did that's kind of liberal, honestly, like prison reform and stuff like that. And it blew up because that's kind of like an angle. But eventually, I just have to be honest with myself and be like, yeah, I'm not that anymore. I'm not like a fence sitting like, oh, I used to like that's not who I am anymore. I'm a registered Republican. I still don't like these people that much. I'm not talking about the Republican beat people. Like there's hundreds of, I'm talking about like the politicians and like a lot of these people at the media companies. I'm not like, I hate all these people. I'm talking about like the influencer world. I'm really starting to not like it. But as far as like when I talk to actual people in reality, I enjoy it. When I went to Alaska, it's interesting because it's like some people that you talk to in real life, you could be fighting with on Twitter. You never know. You talk in person and you have a bond and you really agree on a lot, but then you argue on Twitter over one thing. And, it's like Twitter and Facebook. And I mean, there's obviously so many amazing things about social media, but like, there's also just so many not amazing things about social media. It's like, you never know how many of these great people in real life that you're just like arguing with or like over nothing or just something. So, cause they're so bought in and addicted to like the Trump narrative. And it's like, sheesh, that is something that I did notice though, is most people are like years behind now. I think COVID really like sent people back. Like Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was always under a false perception, but it felt like after Trump won and after he started gaining steam and people started waking up, it felt like the movement was like pretty secure. Yeah, there were some disagreements. You're not supposed to agree on everything, but for the most part, everyone that mattered was united behind Donald Trump. And the only things people were really doing was defending him against like personal attacks. The energy of the Trump movement felt magical from 2017 until 2020. When it all changed, in my view, is when Trump changed. When he wasn't really that dude anymore, things started splintering a little bit. And people, it was like, do you want to tell the truth or do you want to just ride Trump's coattails? Do you want to be your own person or do you want to be a Trump? And that kind of like skewed people. And now that most influencers just went that direction, when I talk to people, it's like they're getting their information from these people. So, they're under the same sort of spell where they're saying, I'm hearing the same 4 or 5 things in loop. And then when I challenge them, they always shatter. It's not like I'm getting out debated and someone like blows my mind. Like I've never heard it before. I'm willing. Like I've heard, there are people that I meet that tell me something and I'm like, wow, either it's like a personal story, something that they're happening. I'm very thoughtful and I'm very like perceptive where it's like, dang, that guy made a really good point. But for the most part, I hear the same 4 narratives on loop that influencers are telling people. And it's like, I hate to be that person, but it's like, what about this? And it's like, could be, like in person, people are nice and they're like, no, that makes sense. Man, it's sad. It's sad to me seeing that the influencer class is really misleading the voter base and the people that kind of look up to them for leadership. It's very sad because I think that's what a lot of influencers are. Like people don't realize in whatever the influence, it doesn't really matter, but like these are people that everyone's looking up to, like, oh, you're really brave. I wish I could have said that. I wish I could stand up and wear that shirt. I wish I could do that. That's what a lot of the country's looking at these people for. So when they take that energy and that momentum and these people are looking up to you and being like, oh, he's a real patriot. He believes in the First Amendment. He's a tough guy. He'll stand up to tyranny. And these people really don't. They're basically just like doing whatever they have to do to keep their status, and they're willing to sacrifice things they believe or become one of those person that's like up is up. Yeah. Well, Trump said up is down. Well, if Trump said up is down, I mean, then it might be, like it's confusing a lot of people. A lot of people are super lost in my view politically. I'm going to end on this note. This is why I'm glad DeSantis is running against Trump. If Trump wins, I hope he does, and I hope he comes out a better, stronger, more honest leader. If DeSantis wins, I hope it's because Trump didn't become a better, honest, more stronger leader and just decided to be a shell of himself. I really pray that the best man wins, and I hope that this competition works. It doesn't turn into personal attacks, because if these two people duke it out and they actually try to make each other more righteous, this is an amazing thing. But I see it as, I don't see Trump as an adult who's going to actually try to out-righteous DeSantis. I think Trump's going to mudsling. I think Trump's going to do personal attacks. And I think Trump's going to try to character assassinate DeSantis at any means necessary. That's truly what I believe. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish Trump said, damn, he's good. I'm better. Let me prove why I'm better. That's not the campaign Trump's running. That is the campaign it seems like DeSantis is running at this point. I'm not saying they can't criticize each other, but keep it on something that matters, not like petty random stuff. With that being said, I vehemently disagree with every influencer friend of mine that I still like, that I've seen being like, why didn't DeSantis stay in Florida? He should have stayed in Florida. He should have stayed in Florida. I can't possibly disagree with that more. Why? So Trump could have a softball election against Nikki Haley and do nothing? No, it's amazing that somebody's actually that's competent and did a few things more honest than Trump with the COVID. It's great that they're running against Trump to challenge him. I don't understand why people keep saying this. Like, oh, he should have just stayed. Why? Why should he have just stayed? Can you explain to me why? So he could have been president in 8 years. Why? Well, so Trump can do it now. Why? Because he deserves it. Why? Well, because like no, he needs to earn it. You think he deserves it after printing more money than Obama and running around the country selling vaccines for 3 years harder than Bill Gates? You think he deserves it with no competition? Then you're just as fake as him. People are so fake. And I don't even know if so many people believe that, because you'd be surprised how many times I'll say this stuff. You know how many influencers watch this and be like, yo, Anomaly's 100% right. And then they'll go back on Twitter and say the same stupid crap that they don't even believe just to fit in or, look like why? No, I'm glad that he's being challenged. Someone said I'm down for a Trump and DeSantis slugfest. If both of these men actually cared about the country and actually wanted to govern conservative and actually wanted to win, both these men would run campaigns to prove why they're better than the other one without doing psychotic personal attacks all the time. Trump's not going to do that because he's a selfish person. He doesn't care. He'll listen to Chris Christie. He'll listen to the Democrats. He doesn't care. He just wants the power. We'll see, though, because even though Trump's going to do that, it's going to make him look weaker. This is my view, he's going to need more gimmicks to beat DeSantis. I'm going to lean towards this. Before DeSantis even announced, before the arrest or whatever, we'll talk about it in a second, before DeSantis even said he was going to run for president, he was neck and neck with Donald Trump in the polls. Neck and neck. He didn't even say he was going to run, and he's right there with Donald Trump. That's crazy. Why did that all change? Why did the polls all change? Does anybody remember? One event changed it all. The Alvin Bragg arrest. That's what it was. And then Trump sold t-shirts, and then Trump flew back to Mar-a-Lago and had all the influencers there. That arrest alone went from a neck and neck to that. And I'll tell you what, these type of things don't last forever. Trump was crushing it in the polls before COVID. Trump was crushing it in the polls before the BLM riots. Things change overnight. So that, although I'm not saying it's good for Trump's lawyers and good for Trump's legal, I don't think it's a great thing as far as what they're doing. I think the Democrats are insane and they run that city terribly. But as far as polling, everyone in the Trump campaign will tell you that's the best thing that happened to Donald Trump. He needed that because he had no leverage. He was running around lying about the vaccine. People are getting bored of it. He's not being as honest as DeSantis. Everybody knows it. DeSantis is governing. Trump's crying on Truth Social. That helped Donald Trump. In my opinion, he needs stuff like that. Without that, DeSantis is going to make him look like a fool. Not because Trump necessarily is a fool. He's acting like a fool. He talks like one. His rhetoric sucks. He's regurgitating Democrat COVID talking points. His campaign is garbage, but it appeals to people that would literally lick the poop off his toilet bowl and say it was chocolate. And I'm not saying that to be disgusting or rude. I literally think that there's dozens of influencers that if you told them they had to lick poop off of Trump's golden toilet bowl to keep their status in the movement, they would. And these are the type of people it's appealing to. And the people that believe that, if he got that, then it must mean it's they don't even know why they believe it. But it's if he's getting persecuted, then he must really gonna do it this time. But that's gonna fade eventually. DeSantis, people are like, well, he's losing in the polls. Sure, he might get blown out by Trump. That's a possibility. People like Trump, and honestly, that might never change. The same way people like Frosted Flakes, high fructose corn syrup, and Adderall. But in general. Someone was like, I was laughing on Twitter. I'm sorry. I have a bad sense of humor. I'm like, America's fat and addicted to pills. And someone's like, oh, this is like a basket of deplorables Hillary moment for Anomaly. I'm like, except what I'm saying is true. Trump supporters aren't all a basket of deplorables, but America is actually fat and addicted to pills. So it's just it's not it's not a smart thing to say, but it's not wrong. I'm not wrong. But in general, this bump in the polls is not going to last forever. I still think Trump will probably win because I literally think that people love beer, not Bud Light anymore, high fructose corn syrup, and Donald Trump. But in general, I think once Trump starts talking, DeSantis starts talking, unfortunately, Trump could destroy DeSantis. Trump has it in him. It's not like he has no talent. Trump is extremely talented, extremely funny, extremely likable, and he's still a lot of those things. But when it comes to honesty, he's just not being as honest. He's just not. I think DeSantis is going to make him look silly at this rate, unless Trump changes it. And I think at a certain point, there's going to, the same way the Democrats need a George Floyd riot, I think Donald Trump's going to need another Alvin Bragg situation or to drag that out, because that makes him look like a victim who's going to really fight back. Without that, I don't think he really has anything. And I'm not calling that a gimmick, but it's like, I think DeSantis is going to give him a run for his money when it comes to speaking and saying what he's going to do. And Trump's just going to have to like dodge and bob and weave and call him a meatball. And, you know what I'm saying, convince his supporters that he's never done any of these things. Like, that's the campaign that he's literally running. Like, I could say Jeb Bush sucks, seems like a nice guy, but probably sucks. You know, Lindsey Graham sucks. Gavin Newsom sucks. But I could be like, there's a lot of sucky people on the Trump side, and there's a lot of donors on the Trump side, and there's a lot of sucky politicians on the DeSantis side, and there's a lot of donors on the DeSantis side. I could say that. But Trump's running the campaign as if like only he's doing it, not me. It's a lie. So everybody repeating that, they're lying. If you can't sit and tell me, listen, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, there's dozens of people like that on Trump's side, and there's a lot of people like that on DeSantis. If you can't at least meet me close to that statement I just made, you're a liar. You might like Trump. He might do better foreign policy. He might win, but you're not in the truth. I guess that's politics, though, right? That's politics. It's not about being honest. It's not about being right. It's about convincing enough people to show up and put your name on a ballot. So that, I guess that's the campaign he's running. Personally, I don't think it's going to work unless there's a few gimmicky bumps. Like, he needs something. He needs an arrest. He needs I'm the victim. He needs like a false narrative on DeSantis to stick. And it's a really grimy campaign to run. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. No? Even on Twitter now, there's something called community notes. Community notes is like a fact checker, but it's not terrible. Like, and I'm not saying this. I despise fact checkers. The fact checkers on Instagram suck. The fact checkers on Facebook suck. They're fake. The community notes on Twitter is the best fact checker on the internet that I've seen so far. It's doing a good job. Is it perfect? I don't know about that, but it's pretty damn good. Like, I don't know how Elon Musk did community notes, but it's actually fact checking both sides. Biden's got fact checked. You know, Trump's campaign keeps getting fact checked because they keep lying about DeSantis. So community notes is now putting the truth under their lies. And I'm not saying this like fact. I'm just saying community notes on Twitter is like fact checking Biden, saying he's lying. I don't know how Elon did that, but it's working pretty well. Someone said he's too monotone. He needs to bring some more spirit and life into his campaign. You might be right, but I mean, I don't know if is Joe Biden not monotone? I don't like, how did he beat all those other Democrats? Like, I hear you though. I mean, you might like, that might be what people want. They might want someone to just like get up there and, you know, rather than someone like, I'm strategically going to do it this way. It's like, yeah, whatever, loser. You know, tell us how ugly Ted Cruz's wife is. It's like, Ted Cruz, your wife is really ugly. And like, it's like, damn, dude. Didn't Trump call Ted Cruz's wife ugly like that? And then like, Ted Cruz is like, yeah, I back Donald Trump. It's like, what? Dude, politics is so ugly. You got all these conservative women like divorcing their husbands and stuff, like in politics. It's so ugly. I'm not surprised though. You take the wife away from the family, she's just touring, becoming a superstar, you know, ego. Yeah, you're not going to keep your family together. So is it worth it? You know, is it worth it for these conservative women to, you know, run in politics, coattail ride Donald Trump, divorce their families? Like, yeah, MAGA. I don't know. I'm not, it just seems all a mess. You call someone's wife something and you endorse them. I know it's not like I want Ted Cruz to endorse Hillary or anything, but like, you're not going to mention that again. Be like, dude, why would you say that? Like, Danny said if it wasn't for Trump exposing deep state evildoers, we'd still be sleeping. Speak for yourself, bro. I've known about this stuff since 2008. So many people think they owe Donald Trump their entire allegiance because he told them what everyone else knew for like 50 years in 2016. I wrote a song about the media lying in 2008. I'm not saying he didn't teach me certain things, but it's like, like Trump told me the deep state was corrupt. Did the Kennedy assassination not tell you that? No, you didn't figure that out. Didn't ring a bell there. You just figured it out, and now we gotta watch Trump say that he listens to Chris Christie because, he exposed them by hiring them and not doing anything and flailing his arms up. I don't know. Did you guys just figure out the deep state was corrupt in 2016? I'm not saying I knew everything. I didn't know conservative values and stuff. Someone said, now you're sounding like Trump. I'm asking you, maybe in a condescending, rude way, but did people really just figure that out in 2017? A lot of people clearly did. They're like, I had no idea both parties were corrupt. I thought Team Red was fighting Team Blue. It's like, okay. But here's the thing. It's like now he comes in and says, here's something you didn't know that millions of people did know. And it's like, now I have to have but then he's doing the same thing. So it's like, now I need to pretend like if the whole premise of the deep state is corrupt is why you owe your allegiance and nothing gets done, but now you're buying into the same paradigm because that guy you're the same person you were before he told you it was corrupt. Like, I think a lot of people already knew that both parties were corrupt, and not knowing both parties were corrupt your whole life and then figuring it out 4 years ago and then buying right back into both parties aren't now corrupt because I like the one guy who clearly didn't even do that much. Like, how I don't you're just going right back to where you were. I actually ended up in a loop as well. In 2008, 2007, I was like Freemasons, Rothschilds, banks. Like, that's where I came from. I was like, both parties are corrupt. Freemasons, Rothschild, banks. Like that. This is what I was hearing when I was younger. And then it was like, oh, maybe Bernie's a little different. Oh, wait, no, he scammed me. Oh, maybe Trump's really different. Oh, wait, no, he scammed me. And now I'm almost back to like where I am. I'm like, oh yeah, the banks control everything. And it's just like a big show. So I kind of ended up in a loop too. I feel like I was more awake when I was 18 than I was like, I believed in it, but also I learned values as far as like, I did dislike Republicans more than Democrats as far as like, I thought like the Republican policies were so bad, but they're not. Well, they are, but what Republicans say is not that bad. What they do is it's like, we're going to cut the deficit, and then they like raise it. They're like, we're going to not spend money, and then they spend money. And people are like, I got to believe in it because Trump woke me up to the paradigm. So now I got to pretend like it's like, dude, they keep doing this. It's like, this time it's going to be different. Is it though? I can almost guarantee you. I mean, if out of the bets, I would bet a lot of money on this, that if Trump gets in, he's going to not make the government smaller. I don't think Trump even remotely cares about it. I think he'll make Space Force, Warp Speed, as long as he can put his name on a universal basic income check. I don't think he cares. In fact, if you were a small government libertarian conservative, like everybody pretends to be in this fake ass movement, excuse my language, and you had to print a bunch of money and hand out money with your name on it, you would at least be like, yo, we had to do that at the time, but obviously that was a bad idea and that's biting us in the ass right now, because that's how socialism works. You can't just print money. Nobody says what I just said. Trump will never say it. Do you not get it? If people really cared about small government, they'd be like, that was a bad idea. In hindsight, we bit ourselves in the ass and this was always going to come home to roost. No, you don't hear anyone say that. They go, well, he had to do it. Well, then just be a socialist then. If he has to do it, he's got to print money. He's got to print the money. You're a socialist now? Well, he has to print the money. Well, it doesn't matter who has to print what money. If you're a capitalist and you're not a socialist, you understand that those policies are going to bite you in the ass. That's just how economics work. It doesn't matter if you had to do it for climate change, for COVID, for Joe Biden. It doesn't matter why you have to do it. It's basic mathematics and economics. It doesn't work. But no one cares in the Republican Party because it's a cult religion of Trump worship where no one has any values. It's like a socialist, Marxist, communist, fake, pseudo-intellectual, controlled opposition, free thinker, not patriot party of like socialists who think that like printing money with Trump's name on it's cool. But if DeSantis did that, it would be corrupt. Or if Hillary Clinton did it, it's socialism. But if Trump does it, I mean, oh my gosh, he had to. It's like, dude, this movement's so fake. Hold on, let's see. Donald Trump. Yeah, here it is. Trump attacked Heidi Cruz's looks. I mean, I would never do that to somebody's wife. That's kind of messed up, but it's okay. Attack your wife. We'll be best friends the next week. Who cares? Carrie Lake's on stage saying her husband's her second favorite guy over Donald Trump. She said that multiple times. She said, my second favorite man is over here, my husband. My first favorite's Donald Trump. I don't care if you're joking or not. Do you think that's going to last? Calling your husband the second? I hope they do. But it's like all these conservative women who come into politics, these superstars, they're divorcing their husbands. Like, oh, big shot. There's been multiple high profile. Of course. Like, yeah, you're not. Instead of like being around your family and your husband, you're flying around riding Donald Trump's coattails and just becoming the modern day rhino. I want to see the exact video. I could find it for you. Let me see. Carrie Lake. Hold on. Second favorite. Hold on 1 second. I bet I could find it and download it. Found it. It might be a little cropped, but it's I don't have time to like crop the video. I would never in any world, any political affiliation. I don't care if it's my favorite politician or not, joking or not. I would not like this as a husband or a boyfriend or a wife or like whoever. Like this is like this, even as a joke, this is so demeaning and so clear where your loyalties and where your energy lies. Like you're so into the politics that you're willing to say this type of stuff in front of your husband. Let me see. Here's the video. I'm gonna play in a second.
As tough as this last week has been, as we watch them slowly count votes, I just want you to know that the movement we have is still very much alive. We are so lucky to have patriots in this fight with us. I was more happy. The one thing that cheered me up this last week was that my favorite guy, all right, I'm going to say my second favorite guy because my husband's my favorite guy. My second favorite guy stood up on a stage right up there in beautiful Mar-a-Lago and said he's going to run for office again, and I'm so excited about that. Who's excited about that?
All right, no, maybe she said my husband's my favorite guy. Never mind. I got to give her credit. I felt like she said it the other way, and maybe she maybe she switched it around. All right, good for her. Good job, Carrie Lake. You don't want to be that. Let me see. Trump husband. That must have been the correction. Here's the other one. I'm glad she switched it around in that one because here. I'm trying to find it. Oh well, I'll find it a different time. Yeah. Oh, she did that and then she corrected it. Oh, good for her though. I mean, probably her husband was like, "Yo, why'd you say that?" And she's like, "Wait, let me do it the next time. You're my favorite, and Donald Trump's my second favorite." It's like, yeah, no, okay. I guess it happened another time, and then she like flipped it around because I've seen the other. I downloaded the wrong video. I've seen the other video. No, there is one that exists. I'm pretty sure. Here now, I have to look for it. I mean, good for her for at least correcting it though. Second husband, Now I got to admit it wasn't the Mandela effect. Let me see. Whatever. I'll find it another time. Someone said even second. No. Husband. I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, I want to find it. I talked about it. So yeah. Okay. I found it. See, it does exist. I couldn't just like, I don't like to, in general, I don't really, I'm not trying to like talk about people like that. God bless their family. I want people to stay together. I just noticed that there's been a lot of like divorces recently, and I feel like when you got the wife just running around, the husband's at home, you know what I'm saying? They're hanging out. It's a rough life for sure. All right, here's the video. I found it. All right, let's see if this one is it. 3, 2, 1 should be.
And of course, I want to thank the most amazing man in my life. I know you're thinking I'm going to say my husband, but he's the second most amazing man in my life. I want to thank President Donald J. Trump and First Lady
Yep. Woo!
I'm going to get to thanking my husband.
I mean, I told you. She goes, I got to thank my favorite man in my life. I know you think I'm going to say my husband, but he's my second favorite man, Donald Trump. Woo! It's like, dude, this is so messed up. I like, I'm not supposed to see this stuff. Oh my God. I got to play that again. That's so sus. Thank God she did a retraction, but still, that's like, could you imagine you're the love of someone's life and they're just like, even as a joke, that's so disrespectful. No wonder why people can't stay.
And of course, I want to thank the most amazing man in my life. I know you're thinking I'm going to say my husband, but he's the second most amazing man in my life. I want to thank President Donald J. Trump and First Lady
Yep. Woo!
I'm going to get to thanking my husband.
Someone said she sounds like she's joking. I'm sorry if my wife would never make that joke, but if she did, I don't know how much I'd really want to stay with her, but it's like my second she's joking. You want your wife to just tour around the country saying that she likes another man more than you? That's sad. Someone said I won't marry a politician. It's not the play. It's definitely not the play. I mean, it's nice to have a career, but if you're a mom and a wife, I think traveling, getting a lot of attention, hanging around with guys all the time, I don't like it. Mike Pence, the one thing that I think I agreed with him on was when they were like, Mike Pence doesn't want his wife going to like private to lunches with men. He's right. I agree with that. I mean, people will be like, "Oh, you're afraid," and not really. No, I'm not. I have nothing to really be afraid of. But you know how many people I talk to? Like, I have a friend of mine who she works in just an industry. I'm not going to say what, but she's like, everyone at my work cheats. She was like, it's crazy. Like, all the women cheat. This one's cheating with the boss. This one's cheating with the clients. Like, she just tells me the gossip. I don't know any of these people, so I'm not going to say anything because I don't even know who they are. But she's like, you'd be shocked at how many people cheat because there's power dynamics to the world. Like, the boss has the power. The wife's around him for 40 hours a week. Not everyone's cheating, but some people are. Now you combine that with flights and trips and hotels, and you're doing meetings one-on-one with guys all the time. I'm not into it. I agree with Mike Pence. I think he's based for that. It's just like, no, I don't. Why should my wife? Why should my wife have a meeting with someone else? I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm gonna read a few comments. Someone said she wasn't joking. She was just lying. She's a politician. Well, that's why a lot of these conservative marriages that are ending up not working, because these women go into politics, they become politicians, they start lying and coattail riding, and it's not desirable at a certain point for the husband to like, they've lost their wife, I'm not going to name names, but two of the highest profile women that were married and, they ran on, I'm married, look at my family. They don't have a family anymore. They're divorced now. I mean, they have kids now, but it's like everything they used to run on to gain votes, they've lost because they've thrown it all away, At a certain point, I don't think it's conducive to be a wife and a, traveling politician while the husband stays home. And I understand it's difficult too for the roles to be reversed, or it's like, it's a difficult path, but you gotta really like love your wife and, make an effort to like have her with you, I think. And just be communicative but I don't know. I know this isn't politically correct, but do you think there's a difference? Like if a single cat lady's in office versus like a wife, or the roles reversed, do you think it's different or it's exactly the same? Because nowadays everybody says everything is different. It's like, oh, men and women are exactly the same. It's like, okay, so is the WNBA as good as NBA? No. Why not? Well, men are different. Okay, so can they be different in any other way? No. It's all the same. It's not all the same. Is the average male security guard and the average woman security guard, do they have the same strength? Do men and women have the same strength when it comes to like a physical position? Can a woman get overpowered more than a man on average? So is there any other differences? I don't know. I'm just asking. When it comes to politics, I think everyone would be like, oh no, it's totally normal for a wife to, just join politics and leave her husband at home. I don't know. Something seems a little different about it to me. But I know you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say it's like exactly the same. It's like Katie Hobbs. I mean, I see no difference between her and a burly man. It's like, okay. Let's see. Someone said that's why we're conservative. We believe in moral values. DeSantis flag and his theme is the "Oh Biden" 3 red stripes like China. Anyone notice? I did not. I'm surprised how sensitive y'all generation is. I trust my husband and support him to achieve happiness. His career takes him away for days at a time. I know he loves me. Yeah, I don't know if it's sensitivity. I guess it's just you definitely got to trust the person and have a good understanding of like the work-life dynamic. I mean, clearly it's not working for a lot of people in politics. Like it is a different dynamic though. It's like if you're, say you like own a business together and you and your husband live in town, and yeah, you might travel and stuff, but then you become a traveling politician and you're traveling all over the world, and there is something different to it. I don't know what. I mean, I do know what, but you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everything is bad when you have to stay by your spouse's side all the time. It just feels like, a politician is kind of a job like a traveling musician, or it's like if I'm a musician and I'm married at a certain point, like you can't tour the same way you used to tour. You like take your wife on tour, and if you can't, it's just different. It's just different when you're married versus when you're single. When you're single, you're on tour, you don't got very much to worry about in that department. But if you got kids and stuff, it's not the same type of tour. So with like a family in politics, but you want to have a family in politics. I think it's better to have a family than not a family. You have more wisdom, but it's just tough. Unless you just stay there. But nowadays politics is like the new Hollywood. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to stay in Washington and Kentucky. It's like I'm in Washington, I'm in Kentucky, I'm at Mar-a-Lago, I'm here. You're all over the place. Maybe it was always like that. I have no idea. I'm just talking out loud. I don't know how extreme it is or not, but I think at a certain point, like men used to do a lot of jobs and women used to not. And the narrative we were fed is that it was so bad. But if you checked, just like with family and stuff, you check the average happiness of maybe a wife 70 years ago, are they more or less happy? I don't know. Freedom versus discipline. I'm sure there were some women trapped in marriages that hated it and they had abusive husbands and they couldn't get out. And then I'm sure there's a lot of women that would tell you I was happier when I didn't have to vote, when I didn't have to run for office when I didn't have to do this. That's the role I wanted to play. I just wanted to be a housewife. Everyone has a different opinion. I mean, there's what I just said is like sounds extreme, but there's thousands or millions of women who say that on Instagram every day. It's called like trad wives. They're like, I don't care about politics. I don't, my husband, I'm just raising the kids. Some people don't want to do that though. I'm not saying it's for everyone. That's for you to decide. It's just, I think everything we were fed about the narrative of like how it was so crazy. And now women can not shave their armpits and run around sweating and, dressed as Pikachu, yelling at Brett Kavanaugh. And then they can one day run for office. And it's like, wow, this is really, it's really progressive for sure. It's what, it's like nowadays you're free to be morbidly obese, disgusting, and you're like, there was some like topless like transgender activists with like fake boobs, like, and I don't know, my friend took a video in like Beverly Hills. He's like, dude, this was just happening when I was driving by. And it's like, yeah, I guess you're free to do that nowadays. It's like, yeah, I mean, with the good comes the bad, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying, I just think when people look at the past and they're like, oh, that's all bad, and now women are crushing. It's like, I would say there's some pros and there's some cons about it. I wouldn't say it's all like uphill, Same with back in the day. Maybe it's the food. I don't know if it's the food quality. I think America has like poisonous food, to be honest. Like you eat in Europe, it's just not the same. My main focus is to get cleaner food to this country, but nobody seems to care. They're like, shut up, Anomaly. We like Trump. We want him. It's like, well, he picked terrible people for FDA and HHS, and he's not, I don't care. Okay. It's like if we had a reasonable country, Democrat and Republican, we can come together and be like, how come we eat this much food and we get this fat, and Europe eats that much food and they get that fat? We are eating more food, but also our food quality sucks. Our food quality is like not even edible. That's why everyone's getting so fat on top of other things. It's also fixable. You look back in the day in the 30s when it was so bad, and like the guy in the movie that they were calling fat would be like your skinny friend. They're like, look at Fatty over there. And he's like, not even that fat. You're like, dude, that guy looks like an average Joe. What are you talking about? He's in shape. That was like the 30s and 40s though. Nobody was fat. I think it's the food quality. Obviously how much people are eating, lack of exercise, but I really do think one of the main roots is the bread, the meat, the additives, the preservatives, like all that sort of stuff is too much. If we just cleaned it up a little bit, America could get fit really quickly. But I don't think people want that. They want like, Trump versus Biden again or something. It's like I'm so over the Trump versus Biden thing. It's like, really? Dude, I already know what's going to happen. If Trump runs against Biden and he loses, he's just going to complain. If he wins, he'll be like, this is the greatest election ever. It's super fair. If he loses, he's going to be like, it was stolen. There's nothing I could have done better. It's like, no, then why'd you run? Why'd you run if they were going to do it? No, you couldn't have campaigned better. You couldn't have sold more people on it. You didn't annoy anybody. No, it was all okay. I don't know. I can't in my head. I'm trying to like think that there's got to be better things for this country, but maybe not. I don't know. I never thought COVID would happen. Could you imagine predicting that exact scenario? Like 2018's coming around and I'm like, oh yeah, Trump's going to crush it, dude. Wait till the deep state sees 2020, man. Trump's really going to crush him in 2020. They don't even know what's going to happen. And then like 2020 was like the craziest, most psychotic year on record. I was like, what? That was not on my bingo card. I definitely saw like mandated vaccines coming, but not like that. That sucked, So in general, my opinion doesn't really matter about the future because I don't know. It's like I would like to think that we're not going to run back Trump versus Biden, but we probably will. I don't know. It's like if COVID could happen, then I guess that could happen too. I jinxed it. I don't know, dude. I don't know. All right, I gotta go. I'll be better later. I apologize. I wanted to do a stream today, but yesterday I was getting back in the swing of things today. When I got back from my cruise, I played a sports game, and I just like, I don't know, I woke up like sweating, and I just was like, I felt like crazy exhausted. And then I drank a lot of water, ate some pho. Pho, it's like a Vietnamese soup, it's good for you. And I woke up feeling pretty good. Today I woke up, went to a sauna, what I'm saying, like to try to take care of myself. So I feel okay, but that's why I felt that it was a little weird. I'm not like on cocaine. I don't know. People are like, you're on cocaine. No. I do feel like, I'll just be honest. I don't feel terrible. I'm trying to manifest my positive health, but you could tell my voice is a little different. I feel a little strange. So maybe I have the China virus. Oh my gosh, the China flu. China. Did you get the Trump vaccine? No, I didn't get it. Well, it's okay. It's your freedom or whatever. But if you got it, it's me. I did it. I did it to you. If you got it, if not, it's your freedom or whatever. But it's a great vaccine. Saved a lot of people. I know people that like hang out with Trump, and they said like, they told me that like a couple months ago, someone was there and they were like, he was like, did you get your vaccine? And the guy's like, yeah, I had to for work. And Trump's like, he's like, I saved your life. I mean, I say, bro, he sucks, but it's so funny. Like, it's like, did you get your vaccine? And it's like, yeah, I got it. He's like, you're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome to Mar-a-Lago. And you're like, yo, can I disagree with him? And they're like, dude, no, dude. What do you want? Do you not want to get a filet mignon tonight? It's like, okay, geez, I just thought maybe I could like say something. Like, no, you don't say anything. You just nod your head. It's like, it's like, how do I nod my head that much? And then they pull up a bobblehead. They're like, we call it the bobblehead. You just, here, I'll show you how we're. That's all I have to do? Yeah, just. What if I disagree though? Well, do you want the steak or not? Oh, okay. Will he get suspicious of, if I just keep bobbing my head up and down looking like a bob, will he get a little suspicious that I'm not genuine? No, dude. Dude has no self-awareness whatsoever. I mean, he asked Chris Christie who to hire for the FBI. He wants CNN to like him. He's friends with Gavin Newsom. Trust me, he will not be suspicious at all. Like, has the filet mignon, my vaccinated friend? I saved your life. Operation Warp Speed, 100 million lives saved. You're one of them. How is it? Do you like my vaccine? It was so fast. Operation Warp Speed. Oh, there it goes. Oh, there it goes. Did you see that? Of course you didn't see. It's too fast. It goes at the speed of Mach speed. I mean, some say it's faster than a leopard. Some say it's faster than a leopard driving a Tesla. And I know what people say. Well, Trump, it's a leopard. Leopards don't drive Teslas. Well, what you don't understand is there has been one leopard who got my vaccine, who ended up being really strong, really smart, really fast, and really, really good looking. And he drove a Tesla really fast. And when he drove the fast Tesla, all the other leopards said, ooh, that's a really fast Tesla. How'd you get such a fast Tesla? And he said, well, I got the Moderna shot from Trump. And and he's like, and it's like, wait, what is this guy? Like, dude, just listen to him. He's gonna tell the same story 15 times. He's like everybody's grandpa. That's just what grandpas do. He's like, so then I got on a plane with the leopard and Mike Tyson, and I said, wow, this is a fast plane. I've never seen such a fast plane. Just kidding. I've seen many fast plane. I'm Donald Trump, bitch. But then it's like, it's like, and then the pilot was going to land in Afghanistan. And it's like, dude, he's been telling this story about the plane for like 50 minutes. Bro, I watch every Trump rally. I've heard this speech 17 times. Like, just bob your head, dude. And then I looked at the pilot, and the pilot, I mean, I'm not gay, but the pilot was really good looking. And I said, whoa, they should put you in Top Gun instead of Tom Cruise, because you're like really, really good looking, but you're really real. This is not a movie. It's just my life. I'm Donald Trump. And then the plane's landing with the really, really good looking Tom Cruise guy. And I'm landing into Afghanistan, right? Because I'm about to start or stop a war. I can't remember. I mean, maybe drop off weapons, maybe talk to my friend, Kim Jong-un, who I got along with. Nice guy, a little crazy, a little fat, but, he eats a lot of steaks. We ate steak. And then it's like, yo, I guess we just gotta listen. And it's like, and then the plane started landing, and then it went 90, 80 feet, and then it went 70 feet, and then it went 75 feet, 74 feet, 73, 72, 71, 70, 69. 69, huh? Anybody? You're like, all right, dude. And then the leopard jumped out and killed ISIS. And that's why ISIS isn't there anymore. You're like, did a leopard really kill ISIS? And you're like, dude, no. Just don't question it, man. If you want to be here, just go along with it. Anyway, God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Have a good week. Weekend, Thursday. Have a good Thursday. And then once the weekend comes, have a good one. I'll be back, and I'll have some interesting angles and stuff, etc. I said I was going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I plan to do that. But this week I'm kind of playing catch up, and my video quality was weird the other day. So I wanted to see if it was still weird today, because I don't know what happened. The back end stuff that I use, it has like a total new update, and I'm like confused. But yeah, I'm going to have a little new format to the podcast, and I'm going to have a special guest on next week. This guy that hopefully could disagree and like have a, I'm trying to think, Frank from I can't think of the podcast name right now, but I've been on his podcast twice. He's a super cool guy. We low key almost look like brothers. He's like my Italian friend brother from another mother, and should be a great chat. We get along stupendously. He's a nice guy. And I feel like he probably disagrees with me on some stuff in a friendly way. So it should be a good time. I'll get some other dissenting voices so everybody doesn't hate me on Facebook. All right. See you guys. Have a good one. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description, or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying. So I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. DreamRareChat at Telegram. My Instagram is @DreamRare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And DreamRareLinks.com, that's DreamRareLinks.com, has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at DreamRareLinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content soon.